This is Mario, an ordinary plumber who first appeared in Donkey Kong 1981. Since then, he has become the most famous gaming character of all time, starring in over 150 video games from the 1980s all the way up to the 2020s. And today, we're gonna play every single one of them. So let's find out how much the Jumpman has evolved over the past 42 years, starting in 1983 with the first ever official Mario game, Mario Bros. On the arcade. Welcome to the game that started it all. Mario Bros. Is honestly the underdog game of Mario's history. Most people assume his first game was Super Mario Bros., but no, it was actually this. And well, this is fine. The entire game is just bumping platforms from below to flip enemies over before kicking them away. It's simple, but we can't ignore the fact that this game introduced some key elements of the Mario universe. Warp pipes, power blocks, and shell creepers who are conceptually the ancestors of Koopas, and of course, Luigi, aka Mario's brother, but if you didn't know that, then I don't even know why you're here. This is also the game that officially made Mario a plumber. Before this, he was a carpenter in Donkey Kong, which actually makes complete sense since that game was set on a construction site. Now, I myself had a fun time playing this game. It's quite frankly a little addictive, you know, so if you got to play this one in the arcade, let me know how much Nintendo rinsed your wallets back in the 80s. Mario Bros. Is a historic game that laid the groundwork for Mario's future. But compared to what came later, it's more of a fun curiosity rather than a must-play classic. Mario's Cement Factory. Okay, to give it the benefit of the doubt, a lot of these earlier Mario games are super simple, especially on handheld devices like the Game Watch. And Mario Cement Factory is no exception. It's a pure multitasking challenge. This dude just gotta juggle cement flow in a factory and that's it. But hey, at least Mario is just dealing with cement. It's not like they handed him, I don't know, like a bunch of explosives. Mario's bombs away takes a different approach from the usual factory jobs and plumbing gigs. This time, Mario is in a jungle running supplies for the military, specifically bombs. He must deliver explosives from one side of the screen to the other whilst avoiding enemy soldiers and accidental detonations. It's an interesting piece of Nintendo history to say the least, just like our next two games on this list, Mario Bros. Special and Punchable Mario Bros. So unlike the original Mario Bros. Where the screen is fixed, Mario Bros. Special features scrolling levels and you're also navigating through new obstacles and hazards. Listen, the core mechanics remain the same. This is a strange take on the original game, but it gets even weirder with Punchable Mario Bros. Because now they've given Mario some new tricks with balls. These two PC games are just weird remixes for the original, and honestly, after these two didn't really perform that well, Nintendo knew they had to do something different. Miyamoto wanted to create a hero that could run around in a bigger setting with beautiful graphics. He wondered if this would even appeal to the current market, but he went ahead and made it anyways. He went ahead and created Super Mario Bros. Welcome to the start of a whole new generation for Mario. This was the game that transformed him from an arcade icon into the face of console gaming. Gone were the static levels of Donkey Kong and Mario Bros. Now, players could explore a side-scrolling adventure across the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Peach, aka, yeah, the princess who needs saving in literally every Mario game ever. Now, this is a game with precise platforming, iconic level design, and some of the most instantly recognizable music in gaming history. Super Mario Bros. Introduced a gameplay formula that remained beloved decades later. You could run, jump, and stomp your way through 8 imaginative worlds filled with Goombas, Koopas, fireballs, and the tricky gaps to leap across. The controls were tight, responsive, and rewarding to master. And as the game progressed, the challenges only grew tougher, making it endlessly replayable. Now, I'd honestly say exploration is just as important as skill. Finding hidden secrets like warp zones allowed you to skip entire worlds, while invisible blocks revealed one-ups when you least expected it. This sense of mystery and discovery was part of what made the game feel so alive. But with all of that innovation came one of gaming's earliest and most famous glitches: the Minus World. This world wasn't an official level. It was a bug triggered by a very specific set of actions where players could phase through a wall near the warp zones. And if done correctly, instead of taking you to the usual warp destination, it would drop you into a strange underwater version of World -3, labeled simply as World -1. This glitch level looped endlessly, basically trapping Mario in an unwindable limbo. It became one of the earliest examples of players discovering a hidden glitch through experimentation, and it sparked a fascination with uncovering the hidden depths of video games. Now overall, Super Mario Bros. Wasn't just a hit, it was a revolution. Over the years, this character redefines what video games could be, and his first time doing it basically laid the foundation for modern platformers, and became the blueprint for hundreds of titles to follow. It was the beginning of something great, and Mario was no longer just a plumber, he was a legend in the making. And only just 1 year later, they released a PC version. This is Super Mario Bros. Special, a 1986 PC-only port developed by Hudson Soft. And right away, something feels off. The first thing you'll notice, no screen scrolling. Instead, the game loads each new section like a PowerPoint slideshow, meaning enemies can blindside you off the screen, which, by the way, this happens a lot. To sum it up, Super Mario Bros. Special is a bizarre relic from an era when PCs couldn't properly handle side-scrollers. But let's move on to one of the most interesting Mario games, Super Mario Bros. 2. Now this game was released exclusively in Japan, and unlike the Super Mario Bros. 2 we got in the West, which was actually a reskin to another game called Doki Doki Panic, this game is a straight up sequel to the original Super Mario Bros. Except it hates you, like it straight up makes you miserable. Enemies are placed in the worst spots ever. Hidden blocks sabotage your jumps, and the game even has the audacity to add a wind to mess you up. It's unfair, frustrating, and sometimes just mean, man. Well, if you want the ultimate Mario challenge, this is it. You've got your game. But you know what? It's not as bad as Super Mario Bros. On the Game Watch. This is what happens when you try to cram a legendary game into a tiny, teeny weeny LCD screen. The gameplay is slow. Jumps are not really jumps, he just kind of moves up and down. But yes, for an 80s handheld, it's surprisingly well designed. Super Mario Bros. For the Famicom. I know what you're thinking. Why are there so many versions of this game? Luckily, this is almost a perfect port from the NES version. The Famicom had better audio, and that's pretty much it. It just sounded better. Whereas the arcade version of Super Mario Bros. At first glance may look identical to the NES version. You know, same graphics, same controls, same levels, right? Well, not exactly. You see, this arcade version was specifically designed to be harder, forcing players to spend more quarters by adding trickier jumps, fewer power-ups, removing a continued button, and here's the most baffling one, swapping out levels from their Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels versions, which were notoriously harder. This game is basically Super Mario Bros. On Nightmare Mode, and they probably made bank from it, which I cannot say about the next game, All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. This is a strange, exclusive remix of Super Mario Bros. Made to promote the popular late night show radio All Night Nippon. Nintendo swapped out characters and levels to match the show's theme, making this one of the weirdest Mario games ever made. But honestly, I think this next one tops it. I Am a Teacher, Super Mario Sweater. Okay, this is the most bizarre piece of Mario software I have ever seen. If you've ever wanted a custom knitted sleeveless v-neck sweater, well, you ain't gonna get it in real life anymore. But if you sent your design off when it first came out, they would actually knit your sweater and mail it to you. It was basically Nintendo's first version of a custom merch shop. As a game itself, there's not much to do. It's more of a novelty software than anything, and unless you really love sweater design, there is no reason at all to mess with it today. Super Mario Bros. 2. Again? Right away, this feels nothing like the original Super Mario Bros. Instead of running and jumping through levels, you're picking up enemies, tossing vegetables, and exploring a whole new world. For Nintendo to take a game like Doki Doki Panic and rework it into Super Mario Bros. 2 for the Western market, it's honestly a genius move. You get to play as 4 characters in this game. Each character plays differently from the others. Mario is a balance between everyone. Luigi jumps the highest, Peach can float, and my absolute goat, Toad, aka the greatest character of all time, is fast as hell, but he cannot jump for shit. This was the first time the Mario series experimented with unique character abilities, and it clearly worked because it stuck around in the future games. Now, instead of Bowser, you're fighting new enemies like Birdo and Wart, who, let's be real now, never stood a chance of becoming Mario's main villain. But a lot of the iconic enemies are here like Shy Guys and Bob-Ombs, who ended up becoming Mario staples throughout the entire series. But in the end, once you complete the game, you find out that it was all just a dream. Oh god, it's like a really cliche book ending. Yeah, everything in Super Mario Bros. 2 was technically fake, but it didn't matter. This game in my eyes was fun. The level design, mechanics, and music make it one of the most unique Mario games ever made. Although I did not like the fact that you gotta jump onto enemies, pick them up, and throw them away to defeat them. That felt so long and tedious from time to time. Super Mario Bros. 2 might have been a refurbished game, but I think it still absolutely earns its place in the Mario series. It's different, like really different, but in a good way. Anyway, and only just a few months later, Nintendo ended up releasing the third entry. This is the big one. The one that took everything Mario had done before and cranked it up to perfection. This is Super Mario Bros. 3. From the moment you start, you know this isn't just another Mario game. Miyamoto looked at Super Mario Bros. 1 and asked himself, what can we do to make this next game 100 times better? And the result was bigger levels, new power-ups, world maps, and more secrets. This game was just massive compared to anything before it. I mean, to start, there are several new costumes Mario can wear to grant him new abilities. Not only can Mario glide, but he can now fly. Frog Mario is kind of trash on land, but in the water he thrives. The hammer costume lets you throw hammers, that's self-explanatory. And the Tanuki suit lets you turn into a statue. I don't understand how that's relevant to the suit, but I guess it's cool. These suits changed everything, making levels more open and packed with hidden areas. This wasn't just running from left to right anymore. This was exploration. And instead of just playing level after level, now you've got an overworld map where you can choose your path, find secret toad houses, and even get into fights with Hammer Bros. It made the world feel more alive than ever before, and the variety is genuinely insane. This game is filled with imagination. Every world feels completely different with new enemies, mechanics, and challenges that keep the game fresh from start to finish. Super Mario Bros. 3 was huge. It wasn't just a game at the time. It was like, oh, this sounds kind of corny, but it was like an event. And honestly, it's still one of the best 2D platforms ever made. Super Mario Land. Alright, this one's also special. Super Mario Land isn't just Mario's first handheld adventure. It's proof that the magic of Super Mario Bros. Could fit into your pocket, and somehow, even with all of its weirdness, it still works. This was actually one of the very first Game Boy games. The movement is fast, the platforming is tight, and the levels feel like classic Mario, but just a little different. And yeah, it is different. Instead of the Mushroom Kingdom, we're in Sarsa Land. I've definitely butchered that, my fault. Instead of Bowser, we've got a space alien named Tatanga, and instead of Peach, we're saving Princess Daisy. But yeah, this game is almost like an alternate reality to Super Mario Bros, but it's still very canon to the lore and stuff. The game only has 12 levels, making it a really short game that you can beat in like under an hour, but every stage feels unique, the difficulty ramps up nicely, and the soundtrack for a Game Boy game is pure fire. And with that being said, you lot, the 80s made Mario. This was the decade that took him from a simple arcade character to the face of gaming, with some of the most iconic titles in history. Sure, some of them felt a little bit pointless, but every single one of them helped shape what was coming next. And what was next? Well, the 90s weren't just more Mario, they were a revolution. New hardware, new ideas, and one of the greatest Mario games of all time. Welcome to the 90s, and welcome to Super Mario World. This is it, the game that kicked off Mario's 16-bit era and proved that the Super Nintendo wasn't just an upgrade, it was a game changer. First off, the look of the game was gorgeous for the 90s. Bright, detailed sprites, smooth animations, and backgrounds that actually had depth. But it wasn't just pretty, it felt incredible to play as well. The controls were tighter than ever, making Mario's movements smoother and more precise. And then, the MVP, Yoshi, aka Mario's dinosaur companion. This little guy changed everything. He wasn't just a power-up. He was a full-on game mechanic that made the world feel more alive than ever. Although I was a tad disappointed by how many power-ups they removed in this game, because here we only have the Fire Flower and Cape Feather, which does seem a little lackluster, but I guess Nintendo thought Yoshi was a big enough change to fill the boots for the rest that were left behind. When I played this game for the first time, I had super high hopes for it, and the thing that stood out to me the most was the level design. Every world introduces new ideas. We got ghost houses with tricky puzzles, switch palaces that change earlier levels, and some of the best platforming challenges in any Mario game ever. And if you thought the main game was too easy, welcome to the special zone. These are filled with some of the hardest levels in the game, which are so rewarding to complete. Same goes for all the secrets in this game. My god, the overworld is awesome. Being able to find the secret levels in the map is just so cool. From start to finish, Super Mario World is near perfect in my eyes. The platforming, the secrets, the music, oh the music. It's all so well made. Even today, it still holds up as one of the greatest Mario games ever made, which I once again cannot say about the next game. Dr. Mario, you guys need to see this commercial.
I called the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, tang, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
What, where, and how and why is the correlation. Listen, I low-key fuck with it, okay? But when you're making a commercial, you gotta have at least some resemblance to the game. This is simply a tile-matching puzzle game similar to the vein of Tetris. And you know, Mario's on some sort of side quest trying to become a doctor by putting pills into a jar to kill off the viruses inside. Yeah, that's the whole game. Both the NES and Game Boy versions follow the same concept, and I don't know about you lot, but finishing this game is actually really hard. However, once you do complete it, you're left with this cool little cutscene of the game ending. Mario the Juggler. This game's only real claim to fame is being the last Game & Watch game ever released. Other than that, it's extremely simple. Mario just stands at the bottom of the screen juggling up to 3 objects, and that is it. I gotta say, by 1991, this thing was already outdated as hell. Super Mario Bros. And Friends, When I Grow Up. So the best way to explain this game is that, well, it's not really a game, it's more of an interactive Mario-themed career guide for kids. You basically just flip through pictures of different jobs. You'll see doctors, firefighters, teachers, and well, whilst you do it, Mario and friends will cheer you on whilst you read a couple of fun facts. Clearly I didn't get to play this one as a kid because, well, I'm a bloody YouTuber now, not a damn police officer. Mario teaches typing. What in the world? Yeah, this is one I wish I played in like IT class in primary school. But other than that, I will never ever touch this game ever again. Mario is missing. Luigi gets his chance to enjoy the spotlight and save his brother, but it happens to be an educational geography game where you gotta collect stolen artifacts from Bowser's minions. It's just so peculiar. I mean, they also used the Super Mario World sprites for this game, and they look so out of pocket compared to the scenery. If you enjoyed this one, then you're probably part of a really niche group, and I honestly respect it. But hey, after that little rough patch we just had, Nintendo went on to create a game that would become a staple series in the Mario franchise. Welcome to Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. This technically wasn't the first Mario racing game. Japan had the Famicom Grand Prix games, but those were more Mario on the cover than an actual Mario racer. What really changed everything was F-Zero, Nintendo's flashy SNES launch racer. It used Mode 7 graphics to make the tracks look like they were actually moving in 3D. But while F-Zero was fast and slick, it had one big problem: no multiplayer. So Nintendo thought, let's make something more chill, more accessible. They slowed things down, added go-karts, and threw in a placeholder character wearing overalls. And then I guess somebody thought, let's just make it a Mario game. And Super Mario Kart was born. Yeah, sorry to lore dump a little bit, however I did think it was some cool information to add. This game is good, however there is one design choice that always just confuses me. Donkey Kong Jr. Every playable character here makes sense, except from him. I don't get it, why didn't they just add normal Donkey Kong? But screw it, I'll rock with it, man. It's the only Mario Kart he's ever appeared in. Now this game is fun. It's Mario Kart, how can it not be fun? I just think there are much better options. That being said, the tracks are quite basic due to the hardware. The AI rubber banding is really tight, and the controls feel janky as hell at first until you pour some hours into it to adjust. Super Mario Kart is a great game if you're willing to give it a chance. Mario Paint. What you are currently watching is a time-lapse of me pouring my heart out to try and draw Toad. In the end, he turned out like this. And I also write subscribe because if we hit 100k, then I'll make this my profile picture. I think that's a pretty fair bribe. This game is so hard to draw, let alone animate, but they also have a music section where you can make your own little tunes. Prepare to be blessed with my creation. I'm so sorry. Super Mario Land 2. This game is a huge step up from the original. The first game felt a little off. Mario looked weird, moved weird, and it kind of barely felt like a Mario game at times. However, the sequel fixes everything. Mario controls like himself again, the graphics are way better, and the platforming feels smooth and tight. We also get introduced to another famous character, Wario, aka a selfish, greedy treasure hunter, who would go on to be a major character in later games. But for now, he's the main antagonist and final boss for this game. Gameplay wise, it's classic 2D Mario with some cool twists. You still get fun power-ups, but now there's the bunny ears from the carrot item, letting Mario float through levels. Super Mario Land 2 took all the weird ideas from the first game, made them work, and turned what could have been another throwaway sequel into a legit Game Boy classic. Mario's early years. This was Nintendo's proper attempt at an educational Mario game, because it split into 3 different titles: Fun with Letters, Fun with Numbers, and Preschool Fun. Anyways, the idea was to teach kids the basics whilst Mario, Luigi and Yoshi tagged along. In reality though, they are super slow, clunky, and honestly not that fun. Even for the target audience, I probably would have fallen asleep trying to get through this in IT class. Mario plus Wario. In this one, Wario drops a bucket on Mario's head and suddenly he's wandering around blindly. You don't actually control Mario at all. Instead, you'll guide him by clicking around as this little fairy named Wanda. It's kind of like a puzzle maze with a quirky gimmick. Honestly, I don't know why Mario just doesn't take off the helmet, but this game never ever left Japan, so most people never even touched it. Just one of those weird Mario spin-offs that's way more fun to talk about than to actually play. Super Mario All-Stars. This game brings together the 4 classics but with a twist. They've all been upgraded with 16-bit graphics that look amazing, and I think that is awesome. Playing the originals in order used to feel a bit jarring. Each game had a totally different art style thanks to the hardware at the time, and that clash kind of made the experience feel disjointed, but All-Stars smooths it all out, creating a much more cohesive and delightful way to enjoy all 4 classics. They also released another version of this game that includes Super Mario World, which is also a great addition. Super Mario Land 3. So this is the game that concludes the Mario Land series. However, you don't play as Mario. In fact, he's not even in the game because this is Wario Land. I don't even know if I should add this to the video. This is a Wario game, so I kind of feel like a fraud right now actually. But nevertheless, I did play it, and all I gotta say about it is that it's just more of the other games. Mario's Time Machine. God. I bet Mario wished he could hop in a time machine right now and go back to destroy whatever this shit is from being released. Mario's Time Machine was one of the many official licensed Mario titles to neither be developed or published by Nintendo in the mid-90s. Like Mario is Missing, it's not actually a sequel to Mario is Missing, it's just very similar. Mario's Time Machine is an educational title that teaches younger kids about historical events. Yep, same old, you know, read dialogue, do boring stuff. But yeah, this game, it is what it is. If you enjoyed it, again, you're like super niche. But there's no shame in that whatsoever. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. Fair play. I just didn't. Mario Family. Yeah, okay. This is another thing that happened. You plug a special cartridge into a GBA and connect it to a sewing machine, and then you sew Mario themed designs onto fabric. It's like I Am a Teacher, but you do it yourself this time. It feels like this is the most disconnected and bizarre game on this entire list, in fact. Hotel Mario. Alright, Hotel Mario is one of those games that's kind of infamous at this point, and for good reason. It's technically a Mario game, but it barely feels like one. Released on the Philips CDI, which is already a weird footnote in gaming history. This game puts you in charge of closing doors. Yeah, you heard that right. The main mechanic is literally walking around and closing hotel doors to beat each level. The gameplay is super repetitive, the controls are dog water, and the pace just doesn't feel right. But what really makes Hotel Mario stand out are those bizarre animated cutscenes. They're so awkward, low budget, and honestly, it's kind of hilarious. It's like something you'd see in a fever dream, with the voice acting as well.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi?
This turned into like a meme goldmine over the years, which is probably the only reason why people even remember this game. Mario's Game Gallery. This one bundles together 5 classic table games: Checkers, Go Fish, Dominoes, Backgammon, and Yacht. The games themselves are decent, nothing groundbreaking, but they're playable and kind of fun if you have absolutely nothing else to do. The twist here is that you're playing against Mario, and yep, he talks a lot.
How about this move? It's your turn.
This is actually the second time Charles voiced Mario, and while it's cool from a history standpoint, there is something a little unsettling about it, and it gives the whole game a kind of offbeat, uncanny vibe. So yeah, it's interesting as a little weird corner of Mario's history. I love finding games that only 5 of you here probably played, and I know for a fact that the same goes for this next one. Mario's Super Picross. Okay, so if you've never played Picross before, you're given number clues and have to chisel out a block to reveal hidden images. It's personally not for me whatsoever, but if you like this game, then just let me know in the comments if you even exist out there. Mario's Tennis. A blood moon has appeared out of nowhere because our next 2 games are only in red and black. Yeah, the Virtual Boy was a really weird piece of hardware. But hey, Mario Tennis is on it, and it's kind of fun. Mario Clash. Sorry, this game's just tennis. I don't know what else to say about it. Mario Clash is an innovation of the original Super Mario Bros. That consists of 99 single screen levels where Mario defeats enemies by strategically tossing Koopa shells across different planes. It was good for a solid 10 minutes, and the 3D effect was something new and different at the time. But now for this next one, I just want you to picture this for a second. Super Mario World crushed it, right? Dare I say, one of the best games ever made. It sold millions, and it's basically the gold standard for 2D platformers.
So what do you do for a sequel? You make more of the same game, right? You know, more levels, new power-ups, slap a 2 on it, and pretty much print money. But Nintendo said, nah, let's just get really weird with it. Instead of doubling down on Mario, they hand it over to Yoshi and deliver Yoshi's Island. A game that looks and plays completely different, but still feels like it belongs in the Mario universe. This time you're not even controlling Mario. You are Yoshi, or actually a relay team of Yoshis, who carry baby Mario through level after level of hand-drawn crayon-colored madness. You nom on enemies, turn them into eggs, and use those eggs to solve puzzles, hit switches, and take down Shy Guys. Every now and then you just casually morph into like a helicopter or a mole machine. This dude basically has Kirby powers right now, and it's chaotic in the best way possible. I cannot get over this art style as well. It is one of the best on the SNES. It has this sketchy, pastel, living coloring book vibe that makes it stand out from everything else. It's so bold, but it totally works. Now this game does have like a couple of flaws. Some levels feel way too big for their own good, and the game sometimes relies a little too much on exploration over flow. But even when it's mean-daring, it's never boring. There's always something new around the corner. Some clever mechanic, a weird transformation, or a level gimmick that makes you go, wait, like what? Bottom line is, this isn't just a sequel, it's a reimagining. It's so different, but somehow still fits perfectly in the Mario family. If you skipped it back in the day because of its visuals or the fact that this wasn't real Mario, trust me, you missed out. Yoshi's Island is one of the most creative, polished, and memorable platformers ever made. And yeah, I do realize I'm kinda glazing this game a bit. I just think it's so goddamn fun to play as Yoshi. But now that we're coming to the end of the SNES, Nintendo gave Mario a send-off before he entered his 3D era.
Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Alright, let's quickly set the scene real quick. It's 1996, Nintendo's still like riding off the SNES, and out of nowhere they team up with Square, yeah, the Final Fantasy guys, to make Mario RPG. Mario's known for jumping on Goombas, not menu-based battles, but somehow Super Mario RPG ends up being one of the most memorable games on the system. Right off the bat, this game obviously feels different. You've got this 3D isometric look, colourful visuals, and a story that's way more ambitious than anything Mario had tackled before. Bowser's not even the main villain here, he ends up joining your team. That alone is worth the price of admission. Gameplay wise, it's turn-based combat, but with a twist. You're not just picking attacks from a menu waiting around. Press a button at the right moment and deal extra damage, or block incoming attacks. It keeps battles engaging and gives it that action platformer flavour that still feels very Mario.
But the one thing that caught me off guard was the writing.
This game is actually funny, like genuinely funny. The characters are full of personality. There's Gino, the living doll with a laser arm, and Mallow, the marshmallow frog with a golden heart. The world's packed with charm and weird little side stories. The music is just so good! Every track is just a banger. Now there are a few clunky parts. The isometric movement can be a little awkward when platforming, and yeah, random battles can drag a bit if you're just trying to get through the area. But honestly, they're just minor complaints. Mario RPG isn't just a fun experiment. It paved the way for Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi. It took a risk, smashed genres together, and somehow made a turn-based RPG that feels like a true Mario adventure. If you've never played this one, go fix that and play it right now, because it's honestly one of my favorite SNES games ever. But now, let's move on to a game that I'm sure most of you have been waiting for. A game that didn't just continue the Mario legacy, it redefined what video games could be. A game that didn't just raise the bar, it set that bar. This wasn't just the next step in Mario's journey. This was a leap into a whole new generation. Super Mario RPG showed us how far Mario could stretch outside his usual box. It proved that he could thrive in different genres, take risks, tell stories. But with this next one, Nintendo wasn't content with shaking things up. They wanted to break the mold entirely. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Super Mario 64. This is Mario. He's 3D now. Suddenly, you weren't just going left to right anymore. You were moving in all the directions of a compass, and the analog stick was a revolution. But with all that freedom came a new challenge. How do you keep track of Mario in a fully 3D world? The solution was a camera system unlike anything before, and Nintendo got clever. They turned the camera into a character, Lakitu, aka the cloud riding Koopa with a camera on a fishing pole. Listen, you gotta understand, by making the camera a visible in-game character, they gave players a way to understand this strange new perspective. It wasn't just a floating viewpoint. It was Lakitu following Mario around and helping him see all the action. It was a fun workaround for early 3D tech, and a subtle tutorial all in one. And that's why the game starts you off in such a low stress, exploratory zone, no guiding music, just birds chirping and a gentle waterfall. You've got a bridge to cross, trees to climb, and a lake to swim in. This was a space to simply play and get used to how Mario moves. It makes perfect sense when you realize Miyamoto and the team spent the majority of the dev time fine-tuning that movement, because the results were so smooth, so reactive. Backflips, wall kicks, sliding, crouch jumps, even the dive recovery into a jump combo. This Mario has it all, but it's not just the moves, it's the feel, the finest, that sense of flow. The whole game revolves around freedom. From the moment you walk into Peach's castle, you choose your direction, which levels, which stars, and in what order. And then there's those weird, unforgettable moments, like the toads hiding stars in random corners of the castle, trying to chase that goddamn yellow bunny rabbit. God, that took me a hot minute. Or that painting that isn't actually a painting, it's a wall. It's strange and it's playful. It's full of secrets and surprises that reward your curiosity. Every corner of Super Mario 64 feels like it was made by someone who wanted you to poke at it, to experiment, to break it just a little bit to see what happens. And let's not forget about the music. Koji Kondo didn't just make background tracks, he made pure memories. From the sunny bounce of Bob-omb's Battlefield to that terrifying music in Big Boo's Haunt. I never got to properly play this game as a kid, but the Inside the Castle track alone makes me feel so much nostalgia. The soundtrack captures moods of every space perfectly. It's not just catchy, it tells you how you feel. Super Mario 64 wasn't just a game, it was a blueprint. It showed the world how 3D games could work, how they could feel. It was bold, weird, and full of heart. And decades later, it still holds up. Because this wasn't just Mario in 3D, this was Mario redefined. And of course, you can't talk about Super Mario 64 without talking about Bowser. Not just once, not even twice, you fight him 3 times. Each time in this surreal floating arena that feels like a dream half remembered. Grabbing Bowser by the tail, spinning him around with the analog stick, and then launching him into bombs. It was like weirdly satisfying and a little janky, but it's all worth it when you hear Mario say, listen, I could probably talk about this game for another 5 minutes, but we'll leave it here, you know. Super Mario 64, it isn't flawless, but that's part of why it's so special. It was the first of its kind. Stumbling into brilliance was rewriting the rules of what a video game could be. It gave us freedom, it gave us mystery, it gave us Lakitu on a cloud, and possibly the most misheard line in gaming history. It's a game that invited you to play, to explore, to mess around, and somehow, it still holds the magic after all of these years. Yeah! Listen, I tried thinking of a way to transition smoothly, but this turned out to be the best way. So let's jump straight into it. Mario Kart 64.
This is the second game in the series and the first to go 3D.
Kind of. The tracks were fully 3D, but the characters, they were still just 2D sprites. It's kind of weird to look at first. I mean, everybody just looks like a cardboard cutout, but once you get used to it, it blends pretty well. As for the characters themselves, you'll be happy to know that Donkey Kong Jr. has been replaced with the original Donkey Kong. And you know what's even funnier is that Donkey Kong actually only managed to just slip his way into this game as well. The game originally had Kamek in the roster instead of him. Clearly Nintendo had some vendetta against TK. But hey, let's talk about how fun this game actually is. I'ma be just fully transparent with you lot. I am not the best at this game whatsoever. I mean, I managed to hit myself with a red shell. I don't even know how that's possible. How did I do this? Nevertheless, it doesn't take away the fact that I still had so much fun. Some of these tracks are the most iconic in the series, man. Hitting this shortcut in Koopa Troopa, oh shit. Playing Banshee Boardwalk with friends was honestly diabolical, but it definitely wasn't as infuriating as Wario Stadium. It's all fine and fun until someone hits you mid-jump and you're sent back one whole lap. I mean, watch me do it to Yoshi right now.
Yeah, like I said, I'm low-key ass at this game.
But then there's Rainbow Road. It's not my favorite layout, I'll be dead ass. It's just 6 minutes of bullying. Like, look how many times I managed to knock Donkey Kong out. In the end though, we had this car 1-hour moment where all of us were about to finish, but luckily I let a mushroom rip and claim that first place. But yeah, this is the game that introduced 4-player multiplayer, which I'm sure caused so many fights back in the day, especially with the new items they added, like the blue shell. Yeah, this thing debuted here, and it's been a menace ever since. Also, please don't rip it to me for calling it the blue shell. I know it's actually called the spiny shell, however, I feel like the majority of you here would also call it the blue shell. I don't know why I felt the need to explain myself with that, but let's keep it moving. Mario Kart 64 also included Battle Mode, which will forever hold a special place in my heart. These are some of the most fun game modes ever, man. Now overall, was the gameplay perfect? No. The drifting is super slippery, but at the same time it lets you perform the most disgusting play around certain corners. The rubber banding AI is brutal, but hey, at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't really matter because Mario 64 was about having as much fun as possible, even if it meant launching a controller at your mate's head.
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. And that is why I peak at Mario Kart Wii.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When an eel lunges out and he takes a bite of your snout, that's amore.
Yeah, this is Mario Teaches Typing 2. And just like the first game, this one is also hot garbage as well. Apart from the floating Mario head that talks to you.
I'm going to fly for you.
This is generational entertainment, and I can't believe Charles actually did the voice for this. I'm also willing to give bonus points for some of the animation they made here. You can really tell they tried to make it as interesting and funny as possible.
DS Super Mario Collection. This was basically Super Mario All-Stars streamed through the Satellaview in Japan. We have the same updated graphics, however now all we have are bare bone levels and this kind of weird ghostly vibe. The catch here is that you could only play it during specific broadcast times, and when that broadcast ended, so did your game. This one's just a super rare Japan only curiosity, tied to Nintendo's short-lived satellite service. Mario No Photopea. This is basically Mario meets a photo editor. You connect a special cartridge to a printer, then drag in pictures, decorate them with Mario stickers, and print them out. There's no platforming here, no power-ups, just Mario themed scrapbooking, and it's so bizarre, like who actually comes up with one of these games? Mario Party. Ha ha ha, so this is where it all begins, huh?
The very first Mario Party, it's fine. You pick a character, move around the board, and after every turn, boom, a mini game. Some of them are absolute classics, some of them are straight up unfair, and a few made some people bleed. No, like seriously, those stick rotating games, Nintendo actually had to give out gloves because people were getting injured. But even when you're losing coins to Boo, or Bowser drops out of the sky and ruins your whole run, it's still really fun, because Mario Party isn't about winning. No, I lie, it's definitely about winning, but it's also about the chaos. The maps are simple but full of tricks, the music is catchy as hell, and the bonus stars at the end, well, let's be honest, they're completely rigged. But that is part of the Mario Party experience, buddy. Mario Golf.
Good shot!
That's so wonderful.
I'ma be real with you lot right now. I've never been the biggest Mario Golf fan, and probably never will. But out of all the ones I've played in this video, this one definitely stands out. The presentation is way better than the others. It's clean, colourful, and just the right amount of wacky. And honestly, it takes actual skill to play, way more than I expected. It's not just swing and pray, there is real depth here. Still, it's not really my thing, but I respect it. They also released one for the Game Boy Color. This one isn't just a mini version of the N64 game. On the Game Boy Color, you actually play as a rookie golfer, not Mario, and you'll work your way up through tournaments, leveling up your stats as you win matches. It's like an RPG disguised as a sports game, which is a super cool idea for a handheld game. I think them being able to pull this off is really impressive, and as a non-golf fan, I had an absolute blast with this one. Mario Party 2. The sequel that built upon the chaotic fun of the original and refined the formula into one of the best multiplayer experiences on the N64. I love how characters dress up resembling the board you play on. Apart from Bowser Land, nobody wanted to dress up for that. Mario Party 2 took all the good minigames from the first, as well as adding new ones like Lava Tail Owl and Shocker Dropper Rule. These two are some of my favorites in the entire series. Like every Mario Party, we're gonna end up yapping about because, well, I kinda have to, don't I? These games are still full of unfair balance issues. However, this one does a really great job at pacing and planning strategy, because Mario Party 2 includes items and an item shop, which changes everything on the board and just causes more arguments and possible fights. Obviously, I don't condone this behavior. However, I do believe everybody has the right to tweak out every now and then if your star gets stolen from you and causes you to lose the game. That is a bunch of bollocks. This game, in my opinion, is easily one of the best entries in the series, which is kind of annoying considering we have to go through what feels like 100 more sequels that don't quite hit the same highs.
But hey, for now, let's move on to Mario Artist Paint Studio.
Honestly, not as complicated as Mario Paint. However, it is their oddly charming attempt at turning the N64 into a digital art platform.
There's animation, but that was already too complicated for me. There's this pretty cool 3D environment mode where you can paint onto textures and then walk around as this little explorer. I colored this Brontosaurus red and now he looks like he's bleeding out. So yeah, it's pretty fun. But I definitely spent most of my time in the 2D Paint Studio. And here's a time lapse of me drawing Yoshi this time.
Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Even after all of these years, Super Mario Bros. Is still being re-released. This time on the Game Boy Color with some enhancements like the challenge modes, finding red coins, collecting a Yoshi egg, or just trying to beat your high score. You can unlock a mode which includes a limited number of levels from the Lost Levels. Well, other than that, it's basically just a port which I probably would have loved as a kid. I mean, I would have never seen anything like it before, probably because I wasn't born yet. But with that being said, we have reached the end of the 90s. This decade didn't just give us more Mario, they evolved my boy. From the bold new worlds of Super Mario World
to the magic of Super Mario RPG.
The 90s proved that Mario could be anything. Platformer, racer, sports star, 3D pioneer, you name it. But then everything changed again. A new generation of players. And well, Mario, he wasn't slowing down. He was just getting started. Welcome to the 2000s and welcome to Super Mario Sun. No, we're not quite there yet. I meant welcome to Mario Tennis. God, that made it sound so underwhelming, but this game's actually pretty good. They got the feel and atmosphere down perfectly. And would you know it, this is the first appearance for my boy, Waluigi, aka Wario's brother and Luigi's rival. Mario Tennis is just tennis, it's really simple, but this one has a uniqueness to it that I love. The presentation, especially with the different cameras and replay, felt so polished. Overall, good game, simple game, sports game. A lot of sports games coming up.
Mario Tennis for the Game Boy Color. So yeah, it's the same title as the N64 version, however this one's completely different. There's like an entire story mode to it where you have to name your character and build your way up to defeat Mario. Kinda insane for a Game Boy game, I can't lie. And I'm sure a lot of people preferred this one over the N64 version. But now let's move on to an innovation. In the gaming industry, you have to try new things, and Nintendo knew how to do that really well. So after the success of Super Mario RPG, Square left Nintendo, fully just stitched them to develop for Sony instead. And what they left behind was a big ass RPG shaped hole on the N64. So what did Nintendo do? They handed it over to Intelligent Systems, but instead of making a traditional sequel, they flipped the formula, quite literally, because Mario became paper. Welcome to Paper Mario, a turn-based RPG wrapped in a charming storybook world where flat characters and pop-up towns hide the console's technical limits with style. The plot is classic Mario. Bowser kidnaps Peach, but this time he's stolen the Star Rod, making himself invincible. Mario sets off to free 7 Star Spirits, disable the Rod's power, and restore balance to the Mushroom Kingdom. The visual design stands out even today. No muddy textures or jagged polygons. Here it's just clean, colourful papercraft worlds that run smoothly and holds up better than most N64 games. The combat is simple but engaging. Instead of huge numbers and drawn out battles, Paper Mario uses small stats and real-time button presses to make every turn feel interactive. Timing your attacks and blocks matters, making battles feel more than just menu commands. And then there are the partners. Adorable takes on classic Mario enemies like Goombas, Koopas, and Boos. They're not just for combat either. They'll help you solve puzzles, reach hidden areas, and bring a lot of heart to Mario's journey. Add in the badge system, which lets you customize Mario's abilities, and you've got a combat system that's surprisingly deep without ever feeling overwhelming. Even between the battles, the game keeps things interesting. You explore, collect hidden items, and occasionally take control of Peach in stealthy castle segments.
This is kind of badass, I can't lie. It added so much variety and humor to the mix. And here's a fun little link. Not only did Paper Mario leave its mark on RPG fans, it also introduced players to the Star Spirits, who'd go on to make a surprise return in our next game, Mario Party 3. Just as Paper Mario gave fans a unique spin on the RPG formula, Mario Party 3 capped off the N64's Party trilogy with a final roll of the dice. By 2001, the N64 was winding down. Many players had already shifted their focus to newer consoles, but Mario Party 3 arrived with a surprising amount of polish. It didn't reinvent the formula, but it didn't really need to. With 70 all new minigames, refined mechanics and tighter controls, it was the series at its most confident. Multiplayer was still the heart of the experience. Playing alone feels like the magic is kinda muted, but when you gather a few friends, Mario Party 3 delivers chaotic, competitive fun. The new duel mode added more strategy for one-to-one players. Mario Party 3 mostly delivered. It might not be the series' peak, but it's a worthy farewell to Mario Party days on the N64. Next up is Mario Artist, Talent Studio, Communication Kit, and Polygon Studio. In the late 90s, Nintendo took a sharp left turn with the Mario Art series. It was a trio of quirky creative tools exclusive to Japan. And first up is Talent Studio.
You lot, I think I found the best Mario game ever. When diving into this one, my expectations were so low. However, I have never had more fun with a stupid game in my life. In Talent Studio, this is who I managed to create. His name is Toad Loverboy, and I also made an entire story arc for him. So we're gonna watch that right now, and I do hope you enjoy it. Oh, it's so brilliant, man. I love this game. The music itself is just, it's so good. I don't even know how to even explain it. But that's only Talent Studio. We still gotta look at the other two. Sadly, Communication Kit is all in Japan. I don't know what this means, any of this. But I'm pretty sure you just communicate with people. But obviously, this game is like really old, so how am I supposed to do that? Anyways, Polygon Studio is also not that great. It's just too complicated. I don't know what I'm looking at or what I'm supposed to do again. I ended up taking this character into like a chicken run thing where you wind him up and he just like moves. I don't know. Overall, it's clear to say that Talent Studio is the best one by a bloody long shot, might I say. I mean, we also made Kanye, or Ye, or yeah, or Mr. Controversial himself. I probably shouldn't add this to the video, to be honest. Dr. Mario 64. I don't really know why this game needs to exist. I think it's better than the first one, particularly because it includes a new 4-player mode. However, apart from that, nothing else in this game sells it for me. The Super Mario Advance series, except from number 4, we'll get to that in a bit. Now, by the time the Game Boy Advance hit, Mario's biggest adventures were already behind him, but Nintendo wasn't done with them yet. The Super Mario Advance reintroduced Super Mario Bros. 2. They added new voice clips, polished graphics, and a few gameplay tweaks. It's still strange, still kinda different, but that's part of what made it worth revisiting. Advance 2 brought Super Mario World to the handhelds. For a lot of players, this was their first time taking a full console Mario game on the go. And then there's Advance 3, a portable version of Yoshi's Island. It didn't look quite as sharp,
and the sound took a hit, but most of what made the SNES version special was still here. That mattered. And yeah, the voice acting and extra lives were a little bit much, but these definitely weren't lazy ports. They were redesigned, repackaged, and in some way reinterpreted. For players who missed the originals, this series was a second chance for those who didn't. It was a reminder that Mario's past still had something new to offer. And yes, I know these didn't all come out at the same time, but my god were they close together, unlike the fourth game that had to be like super awkward and released in 2003. So we'll get to that in a tad. But now let's move on to a game that I have so many mixed opinions about. A game that has the highest Metacritic score for the series. And yeah, we're talking about Mario Kart Super Circuit. Welcome to the first handheld Mario Kart. Super Circuit was a big deal because you could play this anywhere. It was actually supposed to be called Mario Kart Advance, but apparently only Japan got the memo. Developed by Intelligent Systems. You know, the guys who made Paper Mario. For some reason they decided to dibble dabble in racing only once. But Super Circuit honestly feels like someone shoved Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 into a blender, and it came out just fine. It's not bad, it's just the best worst Mario Kart. So to break it down for you, it reused characters and items from 64, added nothing new, used the same sprites from 64, combined that with the SNES graphics, and well, yeah, this game exists. There is something weirdly appealing about this game. The music is brilliant, but gameplay wise, God, it's rough. Drifting is optional, controls are slidey, and it's fun occasionally. But hey, 40 tracks! That is more than any Mario Kart at the time. It even included all the SNES tracks, which I thought was respectable. Too bad unlocking them is a coin collecting nightmare. Look, I like Super Circuit, but I get why nobody talks about it. It's the awkward middle child of the franchise. It's not bad, just aggressively fine, like a lukewarm soda. But after Super Circuit, Nintendo went on to do something that fans have been waiting for years. After Super Mario 64, 3D Mario vanished for 6 long years. But the era of 3D platformers had begun, and every studio had something to prove. Jak and Daxter gave us a seamless living world, Ratchet and Clank handed us the craziest weapons, and Sonic Adventure proved that movement has no limits. But for all their effort, for all their creativity, none of them could quite match the silent perfection of Super Mario 64 until 2002. 3D Mario is back in Super Mario Sunshine. Now, from an outsider's perspective, this game seems ridiculous. Mario lands on an island where a shadow version of him is squirting his goo everywhere. Then Mario gets thrown into court, which leaves him and his new tool Flood in jail. So now, Mario is sentenced to clean up all the mess the shadow version of him made. Honestly, it's kinda stupid. However, boys, they brought back everything. The triple jump is here. The somersault is back. The dive is better than ever. You can spray water and slide through it like a water ride. And don't even get me started with my boy Flood. Do you realize how fun it is to run across the water like this? I love this shit. Of course, not every experiment worked. The pachinko machine, oh my god. And don't even get me started with the cursed chucksters. And here's the kicker, unlike 64, where you could skip annoying missions, Sunshine locks progression behind specific ones. So when you hit one that's just so tedious, you feed it and well, you're forced to live in it. But for all of its flaws, Sunshine doesn't just offer a world, it offers a place. Delfino Plaza is alive. It breathes, it hums. You come back to it not just to get to the next level, but to exist in it. There are secrets in the shadows, blue birds that turn into coins, boats rocking gently on the sea. You swing from ropes, race through fountains, dive into coral reefs, and somehow, in all of this freedom and color, it works. Each world sticks to the island's theme, yet feels so completely distinct. I mean, Bianco Hills feels like someone just painted Tuscany and fucking handed you a jetpack. Nuki Bay is so mysterious and ancient and, well, sacred. And Pianta Village, this one's just weird, but we love it for that. Super Mario Sunshine isn't the most polished Mario game. It doesn't really care to be, honestly. But what it offers instead is something rare. Just pure joy. A specific moment that took me completely off guard was hearing Bowser talk for the first time.
The water's great, hey, Junior?
That alone filled me up with so much happiness just because of how diabolical it was. This is a world that laughs with you, sometimes at you, and sometimes breaks entirely, just to see if you'll find your way back. And through it all, it reminds you why Mario matters. Not because he was the first, but because even after 6 years in hiding, he was still the best. Mario Party 4.
Now this was actually my very first Mario Party, so I'm gonna have a bit of bias towards it. But I'll admit, sure, the pacing is a bit sluggish at times. This game really wants you to feel every turn, but that doesn't take away from just how strong the overall package is, especially when it comes to the minigames. The big gameplay hook here is the introduction of the Mega and Mini Mushrooms. Shrinking lets you sneak through secret paths, growing lets you stomp on rivals and skip spaces. It adds a whole new dimension to the movement and planning. But let's be real boys, what makes Mario Party 4 truly shine are the minigames. It's honestly wild how stacked up this lineup is. You've got Book Squirm, Trace Race, Domination, Dungeon Duos, Path of Pearl, Stamp Out, Free Throw. It's a greatest hit compilation before the series had even gone on long enough to have a greatest hits. Till this day I still think this game has some of the best minigames in the entire series. And considering how many Mario Parties have come out since, that is saying quite a lot. If there's one real downside to this game, it's the character roster, because it's literally identical to Mario Party 3. Thankfully, Mario Party 5, oh god. Doing this back to back is like pain, but Mario Party 5 does add some new characters. We got my boy Toad, Boo, and Koopa Kid. What? You're telling me they replaced Donkey Kong with Koopa Kid? And Donkey Kong was like nerfed into a board game mechanic. Even back in the days, this struck me as bizarre. And honestly, it still like kinda does. Like, why Donkey Kong? It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it's just a design decision that continues to confuse me. Still, I respect the experimentation. The DK space does add some variety and unpredictability to the game, and it does contribute to keeping the boards feeling more alive. One of the more underrated additions here is the ability to play tag teams. This allows the game to have hilarious custom team names that give the whole thing a fun party game energy. It's the kind of little touch that sticks with you, even if it doesn't change the core gameplay. And then there's the capsule system, a major shift from the traditional item mechanics. Rather than buying items from the shop, you earn capsules randomly and use them as you see fit. I'm kind of torn on this system. On one hand, it removes the satisfying strategy of choosing the right item at the right time. But on the other hand, they're free, and they do add a certain chaotic charm that fits the spirit of Mario Party. Now, if I'm revisiting the GameCube era of Mario Party, the chances are high that I'll reach for number 4 over 5, and that is because I am biased. But this one, Mario Party 5, is the right mix of refined, risky, and refreshingly fun. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. Now, do you remember when I was talking about presentation in the Mario Golf games? This one is just not the flashiest entry in the Mario Sports lineup, but it is one of the most technically sound. On the surface, it's easy to underestimate golf. Golf isn't exactly the most action-packed concept, but once you dive in, it becomes clear that Toadstool Tour is all about depth and precision. What really sets this one apart is how well it balances arcade accessibility with genuine golf mechanics. The game is surprisingly nuanced, with different clubs, wind conditions, terrain variations, and shot techniques all playing into every decision. You actually need to think ahead, plan your shots, and know your character's strengths. That learning curve can be super satisfying. The course design is another standout. You start fairly realistic, scenery landscapes, but before long you're teeing off across floating islands, dodging chain chomps, and navigating sand traps shaped like Goombas. Maybe this game actually is pretty flashy. It just adds enough Mario charm without overwhelming the core golf experience. Mario Kart Double Dash. This game is so odd. Let's just start from there. 2 characters on one cart. One is driving and one is tossing items. It sounds like a spin-off or a gimmick someone pitched at 3 AM, but somehow Nintendo just ran with it, and the result is one of the most chaotic, oddly rememberable Mario Karts ever made. The first time you play it, it's a lot. Swapping between drivers mid-race, managing items, picking character pairs instead of just racers. There's a layer of strategy here that most Mario Karts don't even bother pretending to have. You start thinking in combos. Do you want to rock Donkey Kong's giant banana and Daisy's heart shield, or maybe just go full Warcrime with Bowser Jr. and the Power Trooper? There's no wrong answer, just different flavors of disaster. And the tracks are just... Baby Park is a 7-lap fever dream. DK Mountain, my personal favourite, flings you off a literal volcano. And Wario's Colosseum is 2 laps of pure punishment. This game just has vibes. Not really polished, not really balanced either. Just vibes. Now the co-op mode is either genius or relationship ending depending on who you're playing with. One person drives, the other handles items. If your timing's off, you're spinning into lava, but if you're synced up, you can feel unstoppable. All I have to say is good luck to anyone who plans to play this with their younger sibling or cousin, because the chances of them messing up is highly likely and you'd probably want to slap them silly. Now, is Double Dash my favourite Mario Kart? Honestly, no, I don't even know if it breaks top 5. The AI is straight up out for blood, but it's also the most distinct. No other Mario Kart feels like this. Nintendo will never, ever go back to the 2-character mechanic. Probably because they knew they couldn't recreate the same brand of chaos without turning it into a mess. Double Dash is just the odd one out of the series, and that is exactly why it rules. Super Mario Advance 4. At first glance, Super Mario Advance 4 is just another port of Super Mario Bros. 3. But here's the twist, this version quietly became the most content-rich version of the game, if you had the right setup. Thanks to the weird but cool e-reader support, you could scan cards to unlock dozens of new levels, some using mechanics and power-ups from other Mario games, like the turnips from Super Mario Bros. 2 and the cape feather from World. It was like a secret DLC in the time when that didn't really exist. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. For me, there was something special about booting up Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga for the first time. You knew almost instantly this wasn't just another Mario game. It had that energy, that chaotic, playful spirit that only shows up when Nintendo decides to really mess with its own formula. This was just a new RPG, sure, but it had the DNA from Super Mario RPG, and you could feel it in the combat, the way every button press mattered, how attacks had rhythm and defense wasn't passive. But where Super Mario RPG felt like a secret handshake between Mario fans and the RPG lovers, Super Mario Saga just grabbed your hand, dragged it into the Bean Bean Kingdom, laughing the whole way. And what a place that was. Bright, bizarre and full of charm. Every corner was packed with little weird creatures, jokes that actually landed, and puzzles that made you feel clever. The music is unreasonably cheerful. The sound effects are bouncy, squeaky, silly, it all feels alive. Even something so simple as Mario and Luigi walking around was so fun with their high knee and goofy chatter. You weren't just playing a game, you were hanging out with these two buds. The best part is that they were equal stars. Luigi wasn't just tagging along. He was half of the heart of the comedy and some of the best bros attacks. You controlled them both, swapped moves, solved puzzles together. It was a co-op game that you played solo, and somehow that worked really well. Yeah, it was a little strange. The villains were cartoonishly dramatic, and the world had a kind of surreal candy cotton madness. But that is what made it unforgettable. It didn't try to be epic, it just wanted to be fun. And it was. From the first hammer bonk to the final boss fight, this game never stopped being so joyful. Mario Party E. So this is Mario Party, but on cards. You gotta swipe your e-reader cards onto your GBA to unlock a bunch of minigames so you can play the actual game in real life on a piece of paper. It's incredibly limited compared to the real Mario Party, but the concept is weirdly clever and collectible. Of course, this one is a Japan exclusive and more of a novelty than a fully fledged Mario Party game, but it's definitely a fun little oddie in a Mario library. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Okay, I had never played this game before, and going into it, I honestly thought it was just gonna be another throwback. You know, a modern spin on the old arcade rivalry. Turns out Mario is chasing Donkey Kong because he stole some toys. Wow, why? And now we're playing a game that's not just a platformer, it's part puzzle game, part time attack challenge, and part brain teaser disguised in Mario's bright toy box world. Every level has that how the hell do you get up there moment, followed by that satisfaction of figuring it out. You know, you're planning your routes, hitting switches, juggling keys, and racing the clock. It's fun for what it is. The vibe is oddly chill for a game about a corporate toy heist. But yeah, for a game that's not as famous as the other mainline Mario games, Mario vs. Donkey Kong knew exactly what it was. A clever, compact puzzle platformer with just enough challenge to keep you hooked. And then came Mario Pinball Land. This is part of the GBA era where things just got really weird, and I don't know if that's in a good way or not, because someone at Nintendo apparently looked at Mario, then looked at a pinball machine, and then just said, yeah, let's make him the ball. Mario Pinball Land is exactly what it sounds like. Mario gets turned into a ball and gets launched through colourful, bouncy pinball tables that double as adventure levels. Look, I can understand it when you make a pinball game with a character like Sonic. That dude literally turns into a ball to move faster. But Mario, man, poor fella has to break every bone in his body to form that shape. In all fairness, I actually love pinball games. I find them so fun, but I just don't know why they felt the need to make this one in particular. So after that wild experiment, we're jumping into one of the greatest Mario games of all time. Paper Mario, The 1000-Year Door. Well, it feels like we're entering a whole new world right now. One where Nintendo poured heart, humor, and serious ambition into a Mario RPG like never before. Building on the foundation of the original Paper Mario, this GameCube sequel took everything that worked and sharpened it. The turn-based battles became deeper and more strategic. The story was more engaging, and the characters are far more memorable. Nintendo clearly wanted to tell a bold, original story, and it shows. They weren't afraid to get a little darker or more emotional, because you start the game in a surprisingly grim place for a Mario title. Right off the bat, you're thrown into a mysterious pirate port with a noose hanging ominously, setting a tone that's part fairy tale and part adventure. The plot revolves around the villainous Sir Grodus, who kidnaps Princess Peach with the plan to resurrect the terrifying Shadow Queen, a final boss that is so tough it sticks with you long after beating the game. To stop him, Mario has to collect 7 crystal stars by exploring vibrant, creatively themed worlds, each with its own unique personality. From the spooky Great Boggle Tree to the chaotic Blitz Pit, these areas break the mold of typical Mario settings and invite you to lose yourself in their charm. But what really makes this game special are the partners you meet along the way, and for some reason, they love kissing Mario. I don't know what cologne this boy got on, but Jesus. From pulling Goombella to that cheeky mouse thief who it just doesn't stop kissing Mario. The quirky writing and lovable cast brings non-stop laughs and heart to the adventure. The gameplay shines with its rewarding combat system that blends time-based moves with strategy and customization through hundreds of badges. This game is just great, man, like beyond the main quest even. Side activities like the infamous pit of 100 trials test your skills in relentless challenges that keep players coming back. And underneath all of that fun, the Thousand Year Door doesn't shy away from the emotional depth. The story touches on curses, loss and regret, giving it weight that few Mario games dare to even explore. It's the mix of humor, creativity, and genuine heart that makes it arguably not just the best Mario RPG, but one of the greatest RPGs of its generation. If you haven't played Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, you're missing out on one of Nintendo's finest adventures. But hey, after that golden step, let's jump back to Mario Party number 6. I wouldn't even be worried if you skip this part of the video. It's getting old, because jumping into these games, it's just like stepping into a familiar party with a few little twists. This time they added a neat day and night cycle that changes how each board plays out. It's subtle but clever, you know, certain paths open or close depending on the time, and characters like Donkey Kong or Bowser show up in different spots depending on whether it's sunny or moonlight. It's maybe not perfect, and some mini-games don't hit the mark, but for many fans it's the highlight of the GameCube Mario Party lineup, and I really do respect that. Mario Power Tennis. Look, on the surface, once again, it's just tennis, but after you give it about 5 minutes, you'll realize that this is tennis in the way Super Smash Bros. Is a fighting game. Rules exist, but good luck sticking to them. The core gameplay feels tight and genuinely skill-based. You've got a proper tennis engine underneath all the madness, so rallies can actually get really intense. Then comes the power shots. They're a character's signature move that can either save an impossible return or blast the ball across the court with a ridiculous flair. They're over the top, sometimes even unfair, but always hilarious. My standout feature for this game though comes from the themed courts. This time you're not just playing in a generic stadium, you're smashing your shots in haunted mansions, dodging ghosts, or on Donkey Kong's jungle court where the barrels mess with your footing. And while multiplayer is the star of the show, the game has also packed in a decent amount of single player content, with tournament modes and mini games that reimagine tennis mechanics in a weirdly fun way. This is a good tennis game, man. I had an absolute blast of it. Mario Tennis Power Tour, on the other hand, this one takes a hard left turn. Just like the first Mario Tennis on the GBA, you play as some no-named rookie at a tennis academy, and it's all business. Train, level up, beat rival schools, climb your way through the tennis on the ground. It feels more like Pokemon meets sports anime than a Mario game, and honestly that's what makes it hit different. But there is something satisfying about starting from the bottom, working on your serve stat by stat, and eventually standing across the court from Mario and beating him. It's not flashy, it's not loud, it's not even particularly Mario, but Power Tour stands on its own. A calm, surprisingly deep sports RPG hidden behind a goofy title. Mario Party Advance. This game is so weird, like what is this? They took a game that literally has party in the name and made it a solo mission on the Game Boy Advance. No friends, no chaos, just you and Shroom City. Instead of throwing dice and ruining friendships, you're rolling around this map helping Toad fix up the silly by doing errands. Like, I'm not even joking as well, you do favors for random NPCs. That is the core loop. It's kind of like if Mario Party and Animal Crossing had a strange GBA baby who got all the quirks but none of the depth. Minigames, they're not the greatest, but there's also no tension without other players as well. Nobody to sabotage, nobody to steal a star from. It's just you, bro, chasing a high score in silence. It's It's just not Mario Party. If they called it anything else, I'm sure it wouldn't seem as bad. But this one, I'm sorry, this one just did not hit it for me. But this next one definitely did. Now listen, when the DS launched, it felt like the start of something weird and exciting. Having two screens seemed diabolical. Even a touchscreen felt unheard of at the time. A microphone as well? At this point, people were thinking it was alien because it was completely unlike anything else. And what better way to kick off the DS era than by remaking one of the most legendary games of all time, Super Mario 64. But this wasn't just a straight port. Super Mario 64 DS is more like a full remix. It gives you Mario 64 as you remember, but then it says, hey, what if you could play as Yoshi and Luigi and frickin' Wario? Suddenly you've got 4 playable characters. The game almost becomes a light puzzle platformer, figuring out who you need to bring into the level to unlock each secret. And the additions don't stop there. There are new levels, new stars, new boss fights, and a bunch of brand new minigames tucked away in the rec room. These minigames are pure DS era magic. Simple, addicting, and soaked in early 2000s charm. Luigi's card games, chef kiss. Yoshi's Whack-A-Mole style tap games, they must have seemed like throwaway extras. But for a lot of kids like me at the time, they were the thing that you booted up more than the actual main game. It was just pure nostalgia. The only catch about this game really are the controls. The DS didn't have an analog stick, and that was a problem for this game. They had to improvise with the touchscreen to simulate one, or rely on the D-pad, but neither of these felt quite right. Platforming, especially in a game originally designed with 360-degree movement in mind, just wasn't as smooth anymore. It's playable and sometimes good, but you always feel like you're fighting the system a bit. But hey, despite the clunky controls, Super Mario 64 DS worked. It respected the original, expanded on it meaningfully, and introduced a whole new generation to Peach's Castle and the iconic paintings. For many people, this was probably their first Mario 64, and with this added content, it arguably offered even more than the original. To me though, it would never ever beat the original, but this one is a classic reimagined through the strange, wonderful lens of early DS creativity. Mario Superstar Baseball. Mario plays baseball now, and honestly it kinda rules. It's surprisingly deep with team chemistry, special moves, and a whole scouting mode where you have to impress Goombas to join your roster. It didn't change the world, it kinda gave the same effect as Mario Tennis did, but it caved out a little cult fan base, and that's more than most Mario sports games can say today. Mario Party 7. Another year, another Mario Party. This time on a cruise ship though, with 8-player mode. Theoretically, this is a good idea, but unless you had 4 sets of shared controllers and 0 personal space, it wasn't exactly ideal. This game is just more of the same as usual, you know, fun, chaotic, slightly rage baiting. If you've played a Mario Party this era, you've basically played them all. Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. Okay, I cannot believe this game is real. Dance Dance Revolution, but with Mario characters. And yeah, it's as absurd as it sounds. Luigi shaking them hips, Toad is shouting motivational phrases, and Waluigi trying to steal the music keys to bring down the world's groove. It's a rhythm game where you stomp out steps to save the world, whilst also having Mario tunes remixed into Dance Dance Revolution tracks. This one's just so weird and utterly ridiculous. Honestly, I'd argue it's the most unique Mario spin-off out there. Super Mario Strikers. God, I'm so sorry. Remember when I mentioned there were going to be a lot of sports games coming up? Yeah, this is only just the start still. I'ma make it quick. This is football, or soccer if you're American, but Mario edition, and it's actually really good. This isn't just your typical Mario sports game, this is an all-out aggressive take on football, or soccer if you're American. My boy is no longer a plumber in overalls, he is a full-on soccer badass, sliding and body checking his way to victory. The gameplay is fast-paced and brutal, with special moves that turn the pitch into pure chaos. And the art style is bold, sharp, and quite edgy to be honest. Think classic Mario meets it quite gritty and urban design, but what really makes it stand out is just the energy of the whole game. That electric soundtrack and the high-speed action makes every match feel intense and fun. I can promise you, you will never see Mario sweat like this again, and that is a fact because we all know what happened with the latest version of Mario Strikers. Mario Kart Arcade GP. This one isn't just any Mario Kart, boys. It's Mario Kart with the biggest twist ever. Built exclusively for arcades and developed in collaboration with Namco, this game brought some major crossover action. The standout, of course, being the GOAT, Pac-Man. Yeah, Pac-Man as a playable character. You could race through tracks with Mario, Luigi and Donkey Kong, whilst also dodging ghosts and grabbing power-ups from the Pac-Man world. Sitting in the arcade with an actual steering wheel and pedals really made you feel like you were in the driver's seat. It's not the most iconic Mario Kart, fuck, I think this might be the first time some of you have ever heard of it, but it's a gem in the arcade world and a great example of how Mario can break out of his console shell. Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. Partners in Time was the one that took the Mario and Luigi series into darker territory, literally and figuratively. This time the brothers team up with their baby selves from the past to take on a new threat. It is one time-blending adventure that blends comedy with surprisingly emotional moments. You're not just saving Princess Peach because this time you're battling the Shroobs, an alien race with a creepy, otherworldly vibe. The battle system is a refined version of the first game's turn-based combat, but with an added layer of strategy thanks to the baby bros. Timing your attacks and defense moves whilst managing two sets of characters at once adds a whole extra level of challenge. I think this game is just brilliant, man. It was one of the first RPG games I have ever played, and the nostalgia I feel for it, oh, it's so heavy, but definitely not as heavy as our next game. Mario Kart DS. Oh, here we go. This one isn't just a game to me, man. It was the first ever Mario Kart I played, and it holds the most special place in my heart. I used to play it relentlessly with my siblings, racing through the tracks, battling for first place, and laughing at the chaos of the blue shells and banana peels. It's so perfect and iconic for the DS, I can't even wrap my head around it. What makes this game so iconic isn't just the nostalgia, it's what it did for the series. This was the first time we truly got a portable Mario Kart experience, and I know Super Circuit was a portable experience, but it wasn't like this, man. Surprisingly, it worked so well with the DS screen. The controls felt sharp, responsive, and that sense of speed was always on point. Whether it was the classic tracks or the new ones like Waluigi's Pinball, holy crap, that is a good track. Or DK Pass, oh my god, they're just so good. Each course felt perfectly designed for the handheld. But what really stood out was the mission mode. This was different, no longer just about racing. Now you were completing challenges, like collecting coins or dodging obstacles, giving this game an added layer of replayability. The real game changer though was online multiplayer. Now we're still in 2005, mind you. The internet on a portable device felt like a miracle. Racing against people from all over the world, all through a tiny DS, it was the next level. It gave Mario Kart DS an edge, making it feel like a global experience even though we were all just racing in our living rooms or bedrooms. And then there's the battle mode. Oh, this game is just so good. Whether you're duking it out in Luigi's Circuit or just trying to pop your sibling's balloon, it was chaos in the best way possible. Plus the variety of cars and characters you could unlock gave it some great longevity. The more you played, the more you got to experience. At the time it felt like the Mario Kart to master. I also have to quickly mention the soundtrack as well. It's an absolute banger. The energetic chiptune style music matched the game's fast-paced action perfectly. And even now when I hear those tracks, it brings me right back to those nights spent racing and having a blast with my siblings. Overall, great game, 10 out of 10 game, just like our next one. It's banger after banger. New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. If you don't like biased opinions, then you're not gonna like this section, because let me just say this up front, New Super Mario Bros. DS is my favorite 2D Mario game ever for me. From the moment I popped that cartridge into my DS XL Mario Edition, yeah, I had that bad boy. I was so hooked, man. It's one of those games that's timeless in my mind. So cheerful, just a joy to play from start to finish. The gameplay is tight, the levels are crisp, and the platforming feels so satisfying. It took that classic 2D formula and made it fresh again, blending that retro feel with some modern polish. Whether it was bouncing off enemies to make tricky jumps, or grabbing that oh so satisfying fire flower, every moment in this game felt like it was meant to be fun. But here's the thing, like, it's not just the core gameplay that makes this game special, it's just the overall feeling of it, the vibe. The world of New Super Mario Bros. Is alive, the music catchy as hell. Every track feels like it's putting a smile on your face, especially the iconic overworld theme. You can't hear this tune without getting hit with a wave of nostalgia. Like, I can still picture myself playing through all of these levels as a kid, hearing that music in the background, just feeling like I was in the Mario world. It's so cheerful and it's everything I love about Mario games. And dude, don't even get me started with the power-ups. The Mini Mushroom and Mega Mushroom alone. I know I mentioned earlier about Nintendo having a fetish for making Mario big and small, but by golly, they did it so well here. The Mini Mushroom made those tight platforming sections extra intense, whilst the Mega Mushroom, well, there's nothing like smashing through blocks and enemies, feeling like an absolute powerhouse. It added a whole new layer of fun and strategy to the mix. The level design gave us some of the best platforming challenges in the entire series. The boss fights were so simple but effective. But what sets this game apart is just that cheerfulness, man. It's impossible to pick it up and not instantly feel happy. New Super Mario Bros. Isn't just good, it's the perfect balance of old school Mario charm mixed with fresh new ideas. It's the game that again set the bar for modern 2D Mario games and will always be the one I remember most fondly. Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Yeah, it happened, another sports game happened, and it's basketball. Listen, I know that Wii Sports Resort hasn't released yet, so I'm guessing this is what people had to deal with in the meantime, and overall it's simply a quirky little game that combines basketball with some seriously weird mechanics. The gameplay is actually fun, I'll give it that. You're not going to get your full-on basketball sim here. Instead, you're tossing shots in an arcade-styled Mario-ified version of basketball. Mario Party DS. Now that I'm looking back at it, the DS was like an unholy generational run for Nintendo, because Mario Party DS is my favorite Mario Party game. And yes, if you couldn't tell already, this was the decade I was born in. When my parents got me the DS as a kid, I was beyond obsessed with it, and this game was almost at the top of my list. Compared to other Mario Parties, Mario Party DS actually innovates. It's the first to feature fully portable gameplay, which meant minigame chaos on the go. The board mechanics were a lot simpler, but it was quick. Accessible minigames that set it apart. No need for a big setup, just pop open the DS and boom, you're playing. It's a dream come true for a kid like me back in the days. It's not just the ease of playing it though, it's the fact that Mario Party DS made everything feel fresh in the way that other entries didn't. The touchscreen mechanics were new and fun, adding a layer of interactivity that the series hadn't seen before. Plus, it didn't get bogged down with too much fluff, just pure Mario Party fun that's easy to jump in and out of. Mario Kart Arcade GP2. Arcade GP2 takes everything up a notch, but it's still very much the same game. You're still racing through the wacky tracks, but this time it's packed with even more Namco flair. The gameplay itself is solid, tight controls, and of course that arcade racing feel. But again, the real highlight here is the crossover charm. These games are a bit niche, man, and you're not likely to be racing at home unless like you emulate it. Overall, if you somehow manage to find this one in the arcade, be sure to whack that £1 in and give it a blast because it is good fun. Okay, this is what peak Mario Sports looks like. Mario Strikers Charged didn't turn the football chaos up a notch, it blew it up with electric fences and literal murder tackles. Every character has their own insane special move, like Waluigi summoning purple vines because oh well, of course he would. But what I love most is how aggressive and unhinged everything feels. This isn't your grandma's football game. It's gritty, it's wild, and the soundtrack makes it feel like the Mushroom Kingdom discovered heavy metal for the first time. Even the menu theme goes harder than it should. Plus, the online mode was way ahead of its time. It was super competitive, and if you were a kid like me playing this in 2007, you're probably a little bit traumatized as well. Nintendo really managed to capture lightning in a bottle here. It's stylish, it's fast, and it's just the right amount of mean. But now let's quickly rewind back a year, because there was something in the air in 2006. Suddenly gaming wasn't just something you did alone in your room with a wired controller. It was now in your living room, with your family, with your friends, with your goddamn nan. All of you just waving around plastic remotes like you were casting spells. This was the Wii era, and it changed everything again. It was strange and unlike anything else on the market, but it didn't actually matter. The Wii still exploded. Everyone had one. Even people who had never played games in their life were lining up to swing tennis rackets and bowl virtual strikes. It was a cultural shift, and Nintendo, they were on fire. But alongside all the party games, Wii Sports, there was one title that stood out. One game that reminded us what Nintendo was really capable of. A game that took the legacy of Super Mario 64, then looked up to the stars and said, we can go further. This is my favorite Mario game of all time. This is Super Mario Galaxy. Eventually, Nintendo was going to give Mario the most powerful superpower in the world. the ability to breathe in space. And in doing so, they set you out on an adventure unlike anything else before it. Because Super Mario Galaxy isn't no normal Mario game, bro. It's Mario in a full-blown cosmic dream. From the second you start, you're walking through the beautiful Star Festival, seeing Toads cheer in happiness, star bits falling from the sky. It's a precious moment. Then about 1 minute later, you're flying between planets, walking upside down, using gravity as a mechanic, putting on these outfits that make Mario look super cute. You've been launched into a world that's unheard of. Floating islands, clever power-ups, flying across different orbits, enjoying a water level for once in a Mario game. It's pure chaos, but it flows so goddamn well. Every galaxy has a new idea, a weird mechanic, and it never ever gets old. Like dude, you'll do a mission where you're in a bee suit climbing honeycombs, and then minutes later you're on a manta ray surfing space oceans. It truly sounds like complete nonsense, but the game commits so hard to that wackiness that somehow it works. And then there's the music. Oh, the music. Mahito Yokota and Koji Kondo ditched the bouncy chiptunes and went full-on orchestra. Gusty Garden Galaxy, Good Egg Planet. These tracks don't just set the tone of the game, they elevate it into something cinematic. It's grand and emotional. Even like the World Hub, the Comet Observatory is stunning. I'll admit it cannot be compared to the Mario 64 Hub world, but to cover over that, they put this really good song over it that starts off quiet, but as you collect more stars and unlock new areas, it slowly comes back to life and builds into this incredible orchestra. And the Hub World also introduces us to Princess Rosalina. I am so glad she's not just another like save me princess. Instead, they made her into this mysterious, almost mythical character with a backstory that somehow manages to hit you way harder than it has any right to. The whole game has this layer of melancholy underneath all the joy. Like it knows space is cold and quiet, but still full of wonder. There's just a feeling this game captures that no Mario game before or since has really nailed it in the same way for me. I bunked off so many school days just to play it, and I do not take it back one bit. I think a weaker game would have crumbled under the idea of all these mechanics and creativity. But Galaxy, it just glides through them effortlessly. It throws a new idea at you, and then another, and then somehow combines them in a way that feels natural, like the game's evolving right alongside you. You don't even notice how complex it's getting because the pacing is so damn smooth. When I think about Super Mario Galaxy, I don't think about the mechanics first. I think about sitting there with my Wii remote in hand, getting pulled into a world that felt limitless. A game that didn't care about realism or trends. It just believed in imagination. And even now, after all of these years, it still feels like magic. Mario Party 8. Yeah, we've crash landed back down from the stars and landed face first into the dice blocks. This was the series' first jump onto the Wii, and you'd think with all that motion control hype, they'd do something big. But nah, this game just kinda exists. And I don't really like it. To be fair, it's not all bad. There's definitely fun to be had with friends, especially if you have that nostalgic connection to it, which I definitely do not. But when we're looking at the Mario Party series as a whole, this one is kind of just awkward. It's not broken, it's not awful, it's just there. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. This was one of those crossovers that sounded fake even back then. Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Not racing through Green Hill, not stomping on Koopas. Instead, you're doing hurdles and table tennis in China. And yes, it is awesome. I had both the DS and Wii version, and I remember being obsessed with it. There is nothing like seeing Shadow the Hedgehog doing gymnastics, or seeing Luigi compete in the 100-meter dash like his mortgage depended on it. It was so janky and goofy, the motion controls on the Wii were a bit of a gamble, but this game felt like it was a proper event. Sega and Nintendo, after years of rivalry, finally teaming up, not for Smash Bros., not for this epic story-driven game, but for the Olympics. And somehow that just made it even funnier. Super Paper Mario. This entry completely shakes up the Paper Mario formula. Instead of being purely turn-based RPG, it blends platforming with RPG mechanics and adds a unique flip ability that lets you switch between 2D and 3D perspectives to solve puzzles and uncover secrets. The story is surprisingly clever and surprisingly emotional for a Mario game. The boss battles, I gotta say, they're pretty inventive, and the level design cleverly uses the flip mechanic. although some sections can definitely drag or feel a bit grindy when leveling up. This game also leans more heavily on dialogue and storytelling than the previous entries, giving it this more narrative driven feel without losing the charm of the series. The combat this time is definitely simplified, which I can imagine might actually frustrate hardcore RPG fans, but I think it works well for keeping the action flowing in a platforming context. In my opinion, it's definitely not a traditional Paper Mario by any stretch, but the combination of humor, creative mechanics, and a surprisingly touching story makes it one of the most unique entries in the series. Just when you thought the 2000s couldn't get any better for Mario, Nintendo drops my personal favorite Mario Kart ever, Mario Kart Wii. There is something so special about the whole aesthetic of this game. The menus, the music, the sound effects, even the Wii wheel. I know it's just a plastic circle, but back then, that thing felt like tech from the future. I'm gonna start off by talking about the track list, because boy oh boy man, these are races that are burned into our collective memory. Tracks like Coconut Mall, Koopa Cape, Maple Treeway, and of course the Rainbow Road in this game. This is my favorite Rainbow Road of all time, like no questions. It's vibrant, it's brutal, it throws you into a black void every time you blink wrong, but it's just so beautiful. The music behind it is bliss, man. Every course in this game just hits. They're fast, they're creative, and they're complete chaos once the items start flying. And yeah, this is one of those games that just didn't care about fairness. It just wanted you to survive. You could go from 1st to 12th in 2 seconds flat, and it was hilarious. Mario Kart Wii also added an entirely new vehicle type, bikes. These were so different to normal karts. You could pop a wheelie to go faster on straightaways, and the handling was insane. Suddenly Funky Kong and the Flame Runner wasn't just a choice, it was the meta. The competitive game became absolutely wild for this game, with players optimizing every drift, shortcut, and time trial to perfection. But that's the thing, Mario Kart Wii was both. It was pure fun with friends, and it was hardcore speedrun culture. This was Mario Kart at its loudest, wildest, and most alive. Again, the soundtrack is just burned into our skulls. The characters also felt iconic, and the whole game just feels like the most 2008 thing ever. Till this day, it's still one of the most played Mario Kart games ever, because people will never stop loving it. It's more than just nostalgia, it's just that good. I love this shit so much. Mario Super Sluggers. This is the big follow-up to Mario Superstars Baseball, and every bit is so over the top. It's one of the most chaotic Mario sports games you'd expect. The Wii controls are accessible, motion swings feel satisfying without being frustrating, but it's definitely more about fun than precision. The roster is ginormous, pulling in tons of Mario characters, each with unique stats and special moves, which keeps matches varied and unpredictable. But the game definitely shines in the multiplayer. Up to 4 players can team up or face off, and the craziness ramps up with wacky items, exaggerated super pitches, and instant comebacks. However, on the other hand, single player though, can definitely feel a bit grindy, especially when unlocking all the characters and stadiums. In my opinion, it's not a hardcore baseball sim, and if you want realism, well, you're gonna be disappointed. It's a goddamn Mario game for crying out loud. But as a chaotic, multiplayer-focused party game, it's a blast. Dr. Mario Online RX. It's just an updated version of the previous game, man. But now it has proper multiplayer, which lets you battle friends or random players over the internet. Guys, I can't lie, I'm low-key getting sick of Dr. Mario. I don't know how he keeps coming back to this profession. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. This is the most odd story game ever. The game starts out with the Blorbs, basically turning residents of the Mushroom Kingdom obese. And then Bowser eats a vacuum shroom which allows him to inhale Mario and Luigi. So now the bros are stuck inside Bowser's body and he has absolutely no clue. Yeah, this is a weird one. You swap between exploring his guts as Mario and Luigi and rampaging through the overworld as Bowser, punching trees, breathing fire, and unknowingly getting powered up from the inside. It's such a peculiar concept, I'm actually like a bit mind-boggled by it. The gameplay loop is consistently evolving. One moment you're exploring his guts to power up his biceps, the next Bowser's fist fighting an evil tower, and then you get the giant Bowser boss fights, where he humongously grows and fights off entire castles. The gimmick about this is that you actually have to turn your DS sideways, and to attack you have to yell into the microphone. This is so unhinged in the best way possible, but what really makes this game shine is the writing again. Mario RPG writing is just so hilarious. Bowser is consistently angry, consistently confused, and it's so perfect. Mario and Luigi speak entirely in gibberish, yet you know exactly what they mean. The tone is playful, chaotic, and somehow managed to be genuinely heartfelt, and that is exactly why I think it's one of the best games Nintendo ever put on the DS. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games. This one actually holds a more nostalgic place for me compared to the first game. I remember the Wii version being one of those games I just throw on after school in the living room, wildly swinging my Wii remote around, pretending I was actually skiing down a mountain in Vancouver. However, half the time, I just end up smacking my brother in the face with the Wii remote. I used to say it was an accident, but that's kinda what made it fun. Now the Wii version leaned hard into the motion controls, and honestly some events were more waggle simulator than actual skill. But then you get stuff like figure skating or snowboarding that actually felt pretty slick, and like I felt cool as hell doing this. It had that classic "this is janky as hell, but I'm having a time of my life" kind of vibe. But now let's talk about the DS version, because this is where I put the real hours in. It had a proper little story mode where you went around as Mario and Sonic characters, solving puzzles and competing in events, which made it feel like a proper game rather than just a minigame collection. I played this bad boy for hours on car rides, just grinding out every event until my thumb started to hurt. This one isn't the best in the series according to critics, but for me, it is one of the best in the series. It's the one that captured the Winter Olympics party game energy the most. Mario vs Donkey Kong Minis March Again. I'd honestly say this one's a bit of a hidden gem. Instead of controlling Mario, you're guiding a bunch of wind-up toy Marios through puzzle-based levels, setting paths, hitting switches, and hoping they don't march straight into a pit. This was basically Mario Maker before Mario Maker. The game came with a full level editor, and thanks to the DSi's online features, you could even share your creations with other players. For a little download-only game in 2009, that was seriously ahead of the curve. It's not flashy, but it's clever, and I think it's way more influential than people give it credit for. Unlike this next game, Dr. Mario Express. Alright, yeah, this game, there's nothing really here. It's Dr. Mario, but mini. You know, you match the pills by the color, clear out the viruses, and try not to panic when everything starts piling up. It's classic gameplay, just scaled down for a quick puzzle sessions on the go. It's solid for what it is, but after a few rounds, you're probably craving something with a bit more jump in it. And that's where our next game comes in. So let's end this decade with a bang. Let's end this decade with New Super Mario Bros. Wii. After bringing 2D Mario back in a big way on the DS, Nintendo asked a simple question. What if we let 4 people play at the same time? And the result was, well, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. A game that took everything great from the DS version and just blew it up. Bigger levels, new power-ups, and full-blown 4-player platforming. If you played this one with your siblings, you know it was part co-op, part competition, and part complete mess. But when I look back at it, that mess was brilliant, even when you are bubbling for the 5th time in a row. The level design stepped things up, it introduced slopes, dynamic platforms, and some genuinely tricky secret exits. It also gave us the propeller suit, which made escaping danger or reaching high points feel so cool. Flicking that Wii remote to perform it was so tough. And we cannot forget that they added the penguin suit, which basically turned Mario into an ice shooting torpedo. Plus Yoshi was back. Did he control well though? Not really. But did we all try to take him through the entire level? Yes. This game looked like the DS version, but more alive. Extra animations, layered backgrounds, little touches that made everything more energetic. And yeah, the vocals were in every single track ever. They burned that shit into our brains and there was no escape. The real highlight of this game though was that it wasn't just a single player adventure anymore. It was something you could share with 3 other people in the same room on the same screen, screaming at each other to stop running ahead. And even when the novelty wore off, the platforming held up. It's not the flashiest Mario game ever made, but it's one of the easiest to come back to. The kind of game where just hearing the intro music makes you want to pick up that Wii remote again, you know? And with that being concluded, we have finally reached the end of the 2000s. That was a full-on 50 minutes we just went through together, which means we're basically family now, so if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Anyways, what a run, man. This was the golden era for Mario. It was banger after banger on every console, every genre, every platformer, kart racer, RPGs, rhythm games. So much joy and so many memories. But now it is time to move to the next level, because this next decade, well, they take Mario on one wild ass ride. Welcome to the 2010s, and welcome to one of the greatest sequels to a game ever made. Super Mario Galaxy 2. God damn it, man, after the first Galaxy completely redefined what a 3D Mario game could be, Nintendo didn't hit the reset button this time. They doubled down on it. More levels, more mechanics, and less of a story. This game was not here to waste your time. It tells a story that's far less deep than the first one, but once again, you're flying through galaxies, hopping on Yoshi, and somehow the level design is even better. Galaxy 1 laid that groundwork, but Galaxy 2 felt like a team that had figured out exactly what they were doing. Every world throws something new at you. Rotating cylinders, gravity swaps, cloud platforms, drill power-ups, even levels built around rhythm. And then, as I just mentioned, there's Yoshi this time. Finally back in 3D. He's fast, he's twitchy, and he's got a whole range of power-ups of his own. The light-up fruit reveals invisible platforms. You can use the blimp fruit to float upwards. The dash peppers turn you into a sugar-powered missile. He adds a ton to how you move through the game. Now for Mario, the Cloud Flower is maybe the standout new mechanic. All you gotta do is shake that Wii remote to create a temporary cloud platform, and suddenly you're thinking ahead about movement, placement, and timing. It feels creative without slowing you down. Now the Comet Observatory is gone, replaced with a more stripped back world map. It's not as pretty or atmospheric, but it makes one thing clear. This game is all about the levels. No fluff, just straight up platforming excellence. And of course, the music is still unbelievable. Landing on Sky Station Galaxy is a feeling like no other. Or even jumping on Throwback Galaxy, bro. It's so good to hear songs like this again. This is my third favorite Mario game ever, man. And there's a good reason for that. The whole game is tighter, faster, and more focused than its predecessor. It's like Galaxy 1 was the proof of concept, and Galaxy 2 is that victory lap. There's also no Rosalina this time, as her story is complete. There's no slow build up, no long-winded cutscenes, and depending on what type of person you are, you may or may not love that. This time it's just Mario, Stars, Yoshi, and go. I think Super Mario Galaxy 2 doesn't get enough credit for what it managed to pull off. You guys will only realize how fun some of these levels are when you get to experience them, dude. Wild Glide and Tail Trunk Galaxy are both brilliant, and always takes me back to the nights where I'd crack open a fruit chute and play this game relentlessly. Sequels often try to reinvent the wheel. This one just refined it into something sharper, cleaner, and more addictive. And when people talk about what makes Mario special, this is the one that proves it wasn't just luck. It was intentional greatness. Mario All-Stars 25th Anniversary Edition. To mark Mario's 25th anniversary, Nintendo re-released Super Mario All-Stars on the Wii. Yeah, it was kind of bare bones for a celebration, and Nintendo definitely could have gone harder. But if you missed this game for the first time around, this was still a great way to see how Mario evolved in his early years. Mario Sports Mix. So Nintendo hands this one over to Square Enix again, except this time they say, yeah, fuck making another RPG, let's make a sports game instead. What do? They make a game where the Mario roster and 3 Final Fantasy characters play 4 sports in the same game. Basketball, volleyball, hockey, and dodgeball. It honestly works better than you expect. The presentation is super slick, and the fact that characters like Ninja, White Mage, and Mogul show up still makes this one of the strangest crossovers in Mario history. But now, after Mario went galactic on the Wii, Nintendo had a challenge to conquer. How do you fit this 3D man onto a tiny handheld and still make it feel massive? Their answer was Super Mario 3D Land. It was the first original Mario platformer on the 3DS, a console that at launch was kinda struggling. The 3DS was cool, yeah, but there weren't any like killer apps. People weren't sold on this gimmick yet, so Nintendo brought out the big guns because they dropped 3D Land like a statement piece. Sure, the DS had 3D graphics, Mario 64 DS existed, but the 3DS, it brought actual depth. Not just 3D models, but that pop out of the screen effect that made platforming feel totally new. And 3D Land was the first Mario game to actually use that tech as part of the gameplay. This game is wild, kinda like if Super Mario Galaxy and New Super Mario Bros. Had a baby and then raised it on the Game Boy Advanced. It's 3D Mario but with fixed camera angles, bite-sized levels, and a tight linear design. You're still running, flipping, long jumping, and all that jazz, but the stages are built to be cleared in 90 seconds. I found the level design to be super smart. There's this rhythm to it, each level introduces a new thing. It's clean, focused, and consistently rewarding. It doesn't try to be a full console experience experience and it embraces the platform it's on. 3D Land isn't always talked about in the same breath as Galaxy or Odyssey, but it kicked off Mario's 3DS era in style and helped turn the whole console around, and that is why they went on to release Mario Kart 7. Now you all know this wasn't my first Mario Kart, that was the DS, but when I got this one, it made my jaw drop when I first saw it running in full 3D on a handheld, and somehow it actually played amazingly too. This game added two big things that changed Mario Kart forever: gliders and underwater driving. Suddenly tracks weren't just twisty, you were flying off ramps and soaring over lava pits like it was nothing, and the underwater, surprisingly smooth. It should have felt like it couldn't work, but it did. It actually opened up new paths and strategies. The track list is solid as well. You've got new classics like Music Park, Woohoo Loop, and Shy Guy Bazaar. That's a banger. And of course, it wouldn't be a Mario Kart game if there weren't a bunch of returning tracks as well. Now, alongside introducing the gliders and stuff, this was the game that also introduced custom karts. You could mix and match tires, bodies, and gliders to fit your playstyle. Light characters with giant wheels was stupid, but fun. And the best part is that there's no bikes and no overcomplicated mechanics, although I kinda do like the bikes. But still, this was just pure tight racing with enough new ideas to feel fresh. It's one of those entries that doesn't scream innovation, but everything it did, gliders, underwater, kart customization, has stuck around ever since. And for a game called Mario Kart 7, it kinda proves that by now, Nintendo knew exactly what they were doing. Mario Party 9. This is the game where Nintendo went, what if we scrapped everything that made Mario Party Mario Party? Because now there's no more roaming the board solo. Everyone is crammed into one vehicle, moving together like a cursed Nintendo road trip. Look, I kinda get it. I guess it's meant to be more accessible, like a nobody gets left behind concept, I don't know. But in practice, it felt weirdly passive. You weren't really playing against your friends, you were just kinda there watching the chaos happen. To be fair, the minigames are solid and the game looks visually great. There's polish here for sure, but for longtime fans it was a shock. The soul of the series felt like it got shoved into the backseat. Still, I'm willing to give it credit for trying something new, even if it didn't quite stick the landing. Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. By 2012, the novelty of Mario and Sonic teaming up had kinda worn off, but London definitely brought back the magic for me. The Wii version once again leaned hard into the spectacle, and the motion controls were just as chaotic. I still have vivid memories of doing hurdles in the living room, looking absolutely insane whilst the game barely registered my movement. But the 3DS version, this one actually surprised me. It ditched the big party vibe and instead had an actual story mode again. This time with Eggman and Bowser trying to ruin the Olympics by trapping events in fog. You'd go through different days competing in events to clear them, which definitely gave it a more structured feel compared to the Wii. The London games were great. Still silly, still very janky at times, but somehow addictive. And for me, the handheld story modes are what made these Olympic titles feel worth revisiting, rather than just playing a sports collection, which is still fun as hell by the way. Mario Tennis Open. This is the first real handheld Mario Tennis in 3D. And it's a solid portable tennis experience to say the least. The game keeps the classic Mario flair with wacky courts, special shots, and a fun roster of characters. The controls are extremely simple, but the addition of touchscreen minigames and online multiplayer gives it a nice layer of depth. I don't have too much to say about this game, I'll be dead ass, but I can imagine it being addictive on the go and perfect for quick matches. New Super Mario Bros. 2. After Mario Party 9 took a gamble and shifted the formula around, Nintendo got back to the basics with New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS. With the success of the first game on the DS, and its Wii follow-up, Nintendo clearly decided to crank it up a notch. But how do you make a game like this stand out? It's simple, you make the coins the focus of everything. Yeah, this game isn't just about collecting stars, hopping on flags, or saving princesses. No, New Super Mario Bros. 2 decided that the entire game was going to be about coins, and boy did it deliver. This game is like a money-making machine on steroids. Coins are everywhere, hidden in blocks, in the air, in the backgrounds. They're just constantly everywhere. The entire gameplay loop is built around the idea of collecting as many coins as possible. But you know what's crazy? Despite it all being about coins, the game never feels too repetitive. The level design is so clever and each world has a bit of a unique vibe. From the golden flowers that let you spawn coins to the crazy coin rush mode where you're racing to collect coins as much as possible in a limited time. It honestly feels like a weird but brilliant mix of Mario's classic platforming and something more arcade-like. It's such a simple idea, but it's implemented in a way that makes it feel fresh. My absolute favourite part about this game is having that goal to get 1 million coins across the entire playthrough. It's a number that's so daunting yet kind of exciting, because suddenly you start chasing it without even realising it. Anyways, yeah, I think this is a great game, and after the success of this one, Mario made his way back to the home console with the Wii U and Super Mario Bros. U. Yeah, a lot of these came out this decade, and this time everything felt just bigger. The levels were more expansive with tighter platforming and increased challenges. The flying squirrel suit was a huge game changer, and the HD visuals made the Mushroom Kingdom look incredible. I won't lie to you lot, I'm kind of running out of things to say for these games without repeating myself. They added Baby Yoshis to this one. That is honestly all I have to say. Paper Mario Sticker Star. Oh, this game's awful. This one took the most unnecessary turn for the series, as it replaces the classic RPG mechanics with stickers. And at first you think it's a cool concept until you realize your stickers are one-time use. So once they're gone, that's it, you can never use them again. It kills all motivation to fight in this game. I really did struggle to get through all of it. I don't want to sound too harsh, like there are some positives here, whether that's the visuals of the game or the music, but like there's not really a story here that I enjoyed. This one just isn't for me personally. If it's for you though, fair play. Mario and Luigi Dream Team. After the success of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, Nintendo attempted to create something super similar to that idea. This time, it's all about Luigi falling into a deep sleep, and that sleep is so powerful his dreams come to life, sucking Peach inside them. And then of course, Mario has to jump into his brother's dream world to rescue him and Peach. Such an odd concept, man, like who comes up with this type of stuff? What makes this game stand out is how it blends the real world and Luigi's dream world. In the dream world, Mario takes on an entirely different set of abilities, physically manipulating Luigi's dreams to solve puzzles and take on enemies. You can also control Luigi in his dream state. This lets you use his dream powers, oh my god, I'm saying dream so much, which allows you to attack enemies and interact with the environment in creative ways. My only flaw with this game is that it's really long, and the story has this slow build up, and the dream sequences, while they're creative, sometimes drag longer than they should. It feels like it could have been trimmed down a bit, but when it hits hard. Those dream battles are honestly some of the most creative fights you'll see in a Mario and Luigi franchise. All in all, it's a solid entry in the series. It's weird, it's fun, and it's got all the quirky charm we've come to expect from Mario and Luigi's adventures. Mario Arcade GP DX. Alright, so I went to my local bowling alley. Turns out they had this game, so me and my mate jumped on it, and well, let's just say I absolutely obliterated him. Yes! And yeah, they make you take a picture of your face before you start, so here I am. That is what I look like. Mario Party Island Tour on the 3DS is fine. It tries to bring the party to handheld, but I don't think it hits the same personally. Each board has its own ideas, which sounds cool until you realize most of them are shallow and over way too quickly. The minigames are decent, nothing iconic, but it gets the job done. And yeah, it looks nice for the 3DS, but it all kind of feels empty. It's a party for sure, but more like one where half the guests have already left. Super Mario 3D World. Okay, please don't like bomb my house after what I'm about to say. When coming off the Galaxy games to play this, as a kid, I was kinda disappointed, I won't lie. But hold on. Over the years, I have grown to love it more and more. It follows the structure of 3D Land, you know, linear levels with a flagpole at the end. Everything here is just dialed up. You get 5 playable characters, each with their own strengths. The controls are tight and responsive. The cat suit is one of the most versatile power-ups in the entire series, and the level design is constantly throwing new ideas at you. Every stage feels fun and creative, with clever gimmicks that never overstay its welcome. Collecting the stamps is low-key addicting, and even the little details like the ability to unlock Luigi Bros if you have the new Super Luigi U save data. It just shows how much care went into this game. The music is another highlight as well. It's catchy, jazzy, and full of energy, and the boss fights are genuinely memorable. Look, the Nintendo Switch port made it faster and added Bowser's Fury. We'll touch on that later. But even on the Wii U, 3D World holds up beautifully. It might not be the grand open Mario game people expected, but it's one of the most polished, creative, and purely fun entries in the whole series. And speaking of pure fun, let's talk about our next game, Mario Kart 8. You know a game is good when it still feels like it came out last week. That is how smooth and polished Mario Kart 8 is. Easily one of, if not the best handling racing game ever made. The controls are so precise and responsive that it's genuinely hard to imagine how Nintendo could have topped this, but they definitely did. The character roster is solid, and I say that in that tone because it is bloated by all the Koopalings. But the real stars here are the tracks. Every single course feels lovingly crafted, both in layout and visuals. The art style is crisp and colourful, and it aged like fine wine. New tracks like Mount Wario, Electrodome, Sunshine Airport, and Shy Guy Falls are unforgettable. And even the retro tracks feel brand new thanks to how much they've been rebuilt. And of course I gotta talk about the anti-gravity sections, letting you race the long walls and ceilings. This is just to look cool, I reckon. reckon, even if they don't radically change the gameplay, all they add is just pure flair and it's awesome. The item lineup is strong as well. The super horn is just the most perfect item if you're in first place. That blue shell can quite frankly do one. But you know what, I could also really do without the coin showing up so often. These things are just so common. Now if there is one other area where the Wii U version stumbled, it's the battle mode. It reused normal tracks instead of arena styled maps, and it just didn't work. I mean, it felt lazy and so rushed. Thankfully, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch fixed that and turned a great game into a near perfect one. But before we get to that, let's talk about Mario Golf World Tour. I'm holding my hand out when I say this. This game doesn't get the credit it deserves, because I think it's secretly one of the most polished Mario sports games out there. This offers a perfect blend of arcade fun and genuine golf mechanics. Whether you're just aiming for a par or going for trick shots, it feels great to play. And it's surprisingly deep. There's real strategy involved with shot selection, wind, spin, and terrain, but it never feels like overwhelming. It's definitely not as flashy as Mario Tennis or Mario Kart, but for what it is, World Tour nails it. Quietly one of the best Mario sports games. I really do recommend you play this game, and that is coming from a non-golf fan, so that's gotta say something. Mario vs Donkey Kong Tipping Stars. This game is kind of a snooze fest, man. It sticks to the mini Mario formula. You just gotta guide your little wind-up toys to get to the goal by building bridges, toggling switches, and solving puzzles. But if you've played any of the previous titles, you've pretty much seen it all before. But the big new feature was the tipping system. Basically, you could create your own levels and earn stars from other players as tips. A cool idea, but the community never really took off, so it ended up feeling a bit underused. This game is functional and it's quite polished, and most importantly, it works, but it also feels like Nintendo on autopilot. Not bad by any means, just lacking that spark. Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games. This one always felt a little forgotten. It was the first entry on the Wii U, and honestly, I barely knew anyone who owned it. The game looked gorgeous for the time, the snow effects, the HD character models. Finally, Mario and Sonic didn't look like blocky Wii figurines anymore. But the big issue is that they stripped out the story mode that made the DS and 3D version so fun. It went back to being just a console release with a collection of minigames. That said, I'm not gonna bluff. I still had fun with this game. I mean, how can you not? It's the Winter Olympic Games, man. The skiing felt smoother with the Wii Motion Plus, making it one of the few events that I actually went back to a couple of times. But here's the thing, Sochi 2014 was supposed to be the big showcase for the Wii U, and instead it ended up feeling really bare bones. My core memory for this game is borrowing it from a friend and binging it over the weekend, but when I gave it back, I never really felt the need to play it again. That said, returning back to it now, it's not a bad game at all. Just one of the more entries in the series, you know. Dr. Mario Miracle Cure. This is like a greatest hits collection of the series. It's solid, familiar, and just a little bit experimental. You obviously get your classic pill dropping virus cleaning gameplay with that satisfying snap when combos go off. But what sets this one apart is the Miracle Cure gimmick. These are power-ups that can clear rows, columns, or specific virus colors. They definitely add some spice to these games, but they also make the game way easier. Sometimes a little too easy. Look man, it's just Dr. Mario again. Miracle Cure knows exactly what it is. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Okay, on paper, this game sounds cool as hell. A crossover between Mario and Luigi RPGs and Paper Mario. That should have been amazing. But instead, this game is painfully safe. Both Bowsers team up and both Peaches get kidnapped. That's pretty much it. Considering this crossover between two beloved RPG series, it's a major letdown. There's no Paper Mario partners, none of the original Mario and Luigi NPCs, and no clever mixing of the two worlds. It just feels like a huge missed opportunity for character interactions and creativity. Whether that was the Alpha Dream playing it safe, or Nintendo restricting the roster due to the direction of the Paper Mario brand post-Sticker Star, we will never really know. That said, the game itself is still enjoyable, like seeing Mario, Luigi and Paper Mario together is genuinely charming. Even if Paper Luigi mysteriously got left out, probably because all three characters moved together during exploration, and a fourth man could have caused way too many plot holes. But it's not hard to look at Paper Jam and wonder what it could have been. It had the setup, it had the characters, it had that legacy, but it just played things too safe. It's still a good time, just not the unforgettable crossover it should have been. Mario Party 10. Jesus Christ, this game is so bad. Definitely the worst Mario Party ever. Mario Party 9 already threw out the winning formula for no reason, and instead of walking it back, 10 somehow makes it worse. Sure, some people still enjoy the car mechanic, and hey, good for you, pal. But I am convinced most of those people haven't played the older entries. Everyone crammed into one vehicle just sucks the life out of the game. There is no tension, no strategy, just a slow, dull march across the board, while the game drips out mini games every now and then to keep you awake. That is my review of the game. The Bowser Party mode, which sounds fun on paper, but in reality it's totally broken. You cannot beat this guy, man. And the Amiibo Party mode actually does kind of play like the classic Mario Party, but you gotta buy amiibos to play it. It's like Disney Infinity all over again, except that game was actually goated. Anyways, let's move back to a banger. Super Mario Maker. This will be one of the most creative things Nintendo ever releases. Mario Maker takes 30 years of Mario platforming and throws you the keys. So now you build the levels. The level editor they give you is super intuitive. You can drag and drop enemies, terrain, music, whatever you want. And watching it come to life instantly is incredibly satisfying. The best part? You're not limited to one style. You can switch between the classic Super Mario Bros., Mario 3, World, and New Super Mario Bros. U at any time, each with its own unique mechanics and visuals. Some people made death traps, others made autoplay music levels or clever puzzles. It really felt like the community was the game. Logging in every day to see what madness people had uploaded became the real magic. Now obviously there are some limits. It was missing slopes at launch, which weirdly felt like a big deal, and the 100 Mario challenge mode got old pretty fast. Plus searching for levels was kind of a pain, and Nintendo's online sharing tools weren't exactly modern. But flaws aside, Super Mario Maker turned the Wii U into something special. It wasn't just a level editor, it was a celebration of Mario's legacy, handed directly to the players. Unfortunately, the next game is the opposite of this. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Welcome to the definition of bare bones. You boot it up expecting a full-featured Mario sports game, and then realize almost everything is missing. There is no story mode, barely any unlockables, and the character roster is so tiny. Even basic things like themed courts or fun minigames, things older entries nailed, are practically non-existent here. The big new mechanic is the Mega Mushroom. You grab one mid-match and your character just turns huge. It's chaotic for about 10 seconds and then just becomes annoying. To its credit, the core tennis gameplay is still solid. Tight controls, satisfying rallies, and the visuals look sharp, but that is really all it has going for it. Everything else feels rushed and unfinished, like a tech demo that accidentally got released as a full game. Even the name Ultra Smash sounds more exciting than the game actually is. Super Mario Run. Released in December 2016, Super Mario Run was Nintendo's first official mobile Mario game. The game features simple one-tap controls and classic Mario mechanics, short levels, pipes, enemies, and recognizable visuals. The problem? It gets repetitive really quick. There's not much variety in the gameplay, and whilst hitting the high score can be fun, it soon feels quite shallow. I don't particularly enjoy mobile games as a whole anyways, except from like the occasional Geometry Dash or Jetpack Joyride, but other than that I will never play this game ever again. Mario Party Star Rush. It is clear that this series has lost its way. This time, there's no board where everyone takes turn rolling the dice. Instead, you all move at the same time, racing to collect the most stars. It's an attempt to speed the game up, but it just ends up feeling chaotic and messy. Everyone is moving in different directions, and it's hard to keep track of what's actually going on. The minigames are, again, okay, but nothing groundbreaking. The game also has the Toad Scramble mode, where you can play as Toad and collect allies for your teams. But this does not do enough to make up for the lack of central, cohesive experience. What really hurts Star Rush is that it feels like another step back. The boards are so simple, the rules are convoluted, and the whole thing itself feels like a half-baked attempt at something new. And if I said it was good, I'd just be lying to myself at that point. Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS. This is a solid port of the original, but it's hard to shake the feeling that something's missing. The core experience of creating and playing Mario levels is still intact, however the online sharing options are a huge letdown. Unlike the Wii U version, which allows you to upload and download levels worldwide, this one limits sharing to local play and codes. It's a real disappointing step back, especially since the magic of the original was exploring an endless sea of user-created levels. Paper Mario Color Splash. 2016 was a rough year for Nintendo fans, and Paper Mario Color Splash didn't do much to improve it. There is a lot to admire here. The writing is sharp, the graphics are stunning, and the music is fantastic, but unfortunately it carries over many of the same issues from Sticker Star. There's no partners, no experience points, and the characters remain disappointingly generic. The combat here is still a big problem. The card system replacing the sticker mechanic just feels as intrusive, and the lack of an immersive world map detracts from the experience. In short, Color Splash has its moments, but if you're a Paper Mario fan, the first 3 games are far superior. Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. Rio 2016 was a weird one for me. On the Wii U, it felt like Sega and Nintendo knew the formula was running out of steam. The graphics were shiny, the events looked colourful, and the Brazilian setting gave everything a lively vibe, but it didn't have much staying power. I vividly remember messing around with the rugby event, which was surprisingly fun. It's basically Mario and Sonic smashing into each other with no real strategy, and of course I always pick my boy Bowser because he's an absolute machine. But the 3DS version though, that is where things got more interesting. It brought back the proper story mode again, where you trained under different gyms led by Mario and Sonic characters, depending on who you sided with. I absolutely loved this idea because it made the whole thing feel like a journey instead of just random minigames. I tell you, I spent way too long grinding through these challenges just to prove I had the better gym. It felt like Pokemon met the Olympics, man. But if I'm being honest with you lot, Rio 2016 never quite hit the highs of London or even the Winter DS game. It was fun in bursts, especially with friends, but when I think back on it now, it feels like the series was starting to lose its magic. Mario Sports Superstars. Man, I really want to lift the mood up, but here, Nintendo tries to cram 5 sports games into one package, and whilst it's like low-key fun at times, it's just not the deepest game. I mean, it's more like a collection of mini-games rather than a complete sports experience. It's definitely a good pick up and play title, but it doesn't offer that lasting appeal that other Mario sports games have. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. Guys, I'll tell you what, we've had some absolute rotters in the 2010s. And clearly Nintendo knew that because they ended up re-releasing one of their best games ever, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. As a remake, of course. It enhances everything from the original while staying faithful to what made Super Saga great. The addition of Bowser's Minions mode was not a game changer, but it adds some extra content for those who wanted more. If you missed the original, this is an excellent way to experience one of the best Mario & Luigi games. And if you're a fan from the get-go, it's still a delightful trip down memory lane with just enough new content to keep it fresh. I don't know why I'm acting like this game came out 2 days ago. It's been like, what, 8 years now? To be honest, I don't even know if I want to move on to the next game, because it might make me cry a little, but we'll do it anyways. Mario Party, the top 100. At this point, Mario Party was in the gutter. Nintendo had clearly lost faith in the classic board formula that made these games great, and with the top 100, they basically scrapped that altogether. To be honest, this game sounds like a dream, bringing back the best mini-games from across the entire series into one package. But when there's absolutely nothing to play for, you're just jumping from minigame to minigame with no real stakes or payoff. There is technically one board, but look at it, it's painfully basic. There's no item system, no chaos, no real strategy, just a bland, stripped down mode to loosely tie in with the minigames. And the lack of online play is diabolical. If any Mario Party should have had an online matchmaking or tournament, it was this one. In the end, the top 100 feels more like a glorified menu screen than a full Mario Party experience. Sure, the minigames are great, but without the boards, without the unpredictability, it completely misses the spirit of what made the series iconic in the first place. This was not just a stumble, it felt like the end of something. And thank the Lord, at the same time, the 3DS was finally winding down. The Wii U was already considered a total failure. Nintendo seemed completely lost, like they weren't sure where their audience had gone or how to even win them back. But then, from out of nowhere, the Nintendo Switch released. A sleek hybrid console that lets you play on your TV or take your games on the go without sacrificing power or quality. For the first time in years, there was a genuine hype around a Nintendo launch, and leading the charge was a game that felt like a redemption. Like Nintendo saying, we remember what fun is supposed to feel like. That game was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yes, this is technically a port of the Wii U version, And I said what I needed to say about that game, but this right here is just everything. They did it all so perfectly, so right that it became Nintendo's most sold video game of all time. All the original content and DLC were bundled in from the start, the visuals were excellent, the performance was buttery smooth, and most importantly, they fixed the one thing that everyone hated, the battle mode. No more awkward races on full-size tracks pretending to be arenas. Now you had proper battle maps, proper chaos, and proper fun. The roster was also expanded massively. I mean, look at this now. They got everyone. The online mode worked beautifully, the local multiplayer became effortless, whether you were playing on a TV or popping off the Joy-Cons at a party, it just worked. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't just a good game, it was the turning point for this company. The moment Nintendo stopped coasting and remembered what made their games great. After years of half-steps, filler and forgettable spin-offs, Deluxe felt like the beginning of something new. And it was, even though it was just a port. This was Nintendo finally back in the driver's seat. A polished, complete package that showed Nintendo was back on its A-game. It brought old fans back, sold consoles, and kicked off the Switch's first year with style. But what came next? That is where things got a little weird. In the best way possible. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. No one knew what to expect from this game. When the leaks first hit, it sounded like a joke. Mario teaming up with the Rabbids, holding blasters in a grid-based tactical shooter. It felt like a fever dream, but then it launched and somehow against all the odds, it worked. At its core, it's a turn-based tactical strategy game. You take control of a team of 3, Mario and his friends paired with the bizarre Rabbids versions of themselves, like Rabbid Luigi or Rabbid Peach, and yes, Rabbid Peach steals the entire show. Each character has their own weapons and abilities, and battles take place on grid-based areas full of cover, pipes, and opportunities for more stylish combos. You can slide tackle enemies, bounce off your teammates to extend your range, and chain together turns with ridiculous finesse. It's strategic but never overwhelming. The game nails that perfect middle ground, deep enough to be satisfying but simple enough for anyone to jump in and feel smart. But what really sells Kingdom Battle is how much heart it has. The overworld is surprisingly detailed and fun to explore. The cutscenes are full of slapstick humor and subtle character moments. It was a reminder that Nintendo was taking risks again, and those risks were finally paying off. You lot, by this point the message was loud and clear. Nintendo was back. But it wasn't until they took that final, daring leap where the gaming world collectively held its breath. It was the moment everyone was waiting for. The moment when they were about to release something so monumental, so masterfully crafted, that it would be remembered as a landmark in gaming history. It wasn't just another Mario game again. This was the game that was going to define the Switch. The game I rank as my second favorite Mario game of all time. This game is Super Mario Odyssey. From the moment you hit play, it's clear this game is out to impress. The music alone is enough to knock you flat on your ass. An orchestra swell that lifts you off the ground and shoots you straight into the stratosphere. And that's just the start. The Cascade Kingdom fills you up with so much adventure. You can then turn into chain chomps, knock down this rock and, wait for it, transform into a T-Rex. You're literally stomping around as a massive dinosaur. If that's not peak gaming, then I don't know what is. Seriously, how the hell are you not playing this right now, even 7 years later? From the very start, you figure out that Odyssey is a game with no boundaries. And while the influences are pretty obvious, it doesn't lean on nostalgia. This game reinvents the formula. It's not about trying to recapture what came before, it's about forging something new. Something wild. Every kingdom you visit in this game feels like its own little universe. It's a platformer, sure, but it's also this huge, sprawling playground where you're free to do whatever the hell you want. Want to throw your hat, jump off it, and then dive into it again? Go for it. You can form into a ball again like they did in Mario Pinball and roll down hills like a crazy person. The movement is so fluid and fun, and it truly encourages you to experiment and play around with it, because the possibilities are endless. But here's the thing I just adore about this game. Odyssey doesn't try to milk every idea to death. Instead of staying focused on a single mechanic for too long, it constantly throws something new your way. Suddenly you're turning into an electrical wire and then a Goomba, because why the hell not? And before you know it, you're capturing a tank and firing explosive shots all over the place. This game never ever slows down, and every new twist feels fresh, exciting, and fun. I honestly can't remember the last time I played a game where I felt this excited just to mess around and see what happens. It's like being a kid again, discovering new things everywhere you look. And the world design complements that even more. Odyssey isn't just about the cool transformations, it's about how every corner of the game is packed with secrets, challenges, and delightful surprises. Take New Dog City for example, probably the most iconic world in this game. You can jump on taxis, swing from streetlights, and do things I never thought was possible in a Mario game. This city is so alive, and every building, alleyway, and street corner holds something for you to find. And the music is just chef's kiss. This is the kind of moment that makes you want to give it a standing ovation. Every kingdom you visit just has its own personality. Like dude, this one has a dragon you have to fight. It's a small world, but it's so cool for what it does. This game is truly massive. You can collect moons throughout the entire game, and while you only need 120 to finish the main story, there are a whopping 830 moons scattered across the world. And the best part? The game just keeps on giving. Once you think you've seen everything, there is a new challenge waiting around the corner. Even after you beat the main story, every level is flooded with new challenges. It's one of those games where the journey never really ends, because there's always something new to discover. And the heart of this game is how much it commits to freedom. Odyssey doesn't hold your hand at all. It doesn't force you to play a certain way. You get to explore, experiment, and find your own fun in a world that's bursting with possibilities. By the time the credits roll, you realize that Super Mario Odyssey is a fucking masterpiece. It's a celebration of everything Mario is and can be. And now that I really think about it, it might actually top Galaxy for me. This is some unholy glaze I'm giving it, but it's just pure joy wrapped in a bow of creativity. If you can play this game and not feel a little emotional about it, man, you might be a robot or something, because this is what gaming is all about. Mario Kart Arcade GP VR. Okay, so this is the Mario Kart experience that you cannot pick up at home because, well, it's VR and arcade only. You'll strap yourself into a giant race car pod, put on a headset, and suddenly you're whizzing around 3D tracks with Mario Chaos all around you. It looks insane and way too much fun, but physically, I literally cannot play it. This thing is across the world, and I'm not even sure if they're still operating anymore. So yeah, that's bloody fantastic. Mario Tennis Aces. This kind of felt like Nintendo was finally taking Mario Tennis seriously again after the empty shell that was Ultra Smash. This one came swinging back pretty hard, with really good mechanics, a full roster, and a story mode. The gameplay is sharp as hell. You've got zone shots, trick shots, slow motion counters. It's flashy but still skill based. At higher levels it can get super intense, almost like a fighting game with rackets. There's even a stamina bar and racket durability. So yeah, matches can literally end with a KO. The story mode is fine, I mean, it's a tennis game. It gets the job done, you know. And the multiplayer, that is where it really shines. Whether you're playing casually or sweating it out online, Aces is fast, competitive, and fun. It's not perfect, but compared to where Mario Tennis was before, this is a huge step in the right direction. Super Mario Party. After years of missteps, Super Mario Party finally brings the series back to its roots, and honestly, it feels good to be back. The character roster is the strongest the series has ever had since this, with 20 unique picks that makes the game feel full and complete. The boards on the other hand, well, there's only 4 of them, which feels incredibly limited, especially considering how fun and well designed they actually are. I find it wild that we never got any updates adding more, especially when other Nintendo games like Mario Tennis and Golf were getting post-launch support. That said, the minigames are great, they're creative, polished, and the ability to practice them directly on the control screen is a fantastic addition that saves so much time. As for the side modes, River Survival, Soundstage, Toad's Rec Room, they're okay, but mostly forgettable. You might try them once and never go back. In the end, Super Mario Party is a strong step in the right direction. We're finally kinda back. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. This is a solid package, but for 2019, it felt like Nintendo was playing it a little too safe. This is a port of the Wii U launch title, and don't get me wrong, gameplay wise it's great, this is a good game, but the problem is that we've seen this before. I can understand re-releasing Mario Kart 8, but for the 2D games, by the time this hit the Switch, the new style had already started feeling pretty old. With that said, it is still a great 2D Mario game, especially with the addition of Toadette and Nabbit making things more accessible. And having the full Luigi expansion included is a nice bonus for those wanting more challenge. It just felt like Nintendo was holding on the brakes for a brand new 2D game. And I mean, a little later in this video, we'll get to that. But for now, let's move on to our next game, Super Mario Maker 2. If the original Mario Maker was a creative spark, then Super Mario Maker 2 was a full-blown toolkit. This sequel took nearly everything fans loved about the Wii U version and cranked it up to the heavens. More parts, more themes, more style, and finally a proper story mode. And that story mode is actually genuinely great. It's packed with 100 plus Nintendo designed levels that show off the wild potential of the editor. It's a perfect entry point for people who want to play without diving straight into building. The level creation tools are deeper than ever. You can now make vertical levels, use slopes, toggle clear conditions, and even build fully connected worlds, basically designing your own mini Mario game. The only real downside is there's no styled based editing like on the Wii U, so building can feel a little bit clunkier in handheld mode. Online sharing is much better this time too, with tags and filters that help surface genuinely creative levels. Mario Maker 2 doesn't quite have the novelty of the original, but as a creative platform, it's one of the most impressive toolkits Nintendo has ever made. Mario Kart Tour. Okay, this might be a bold pick, but I don't like this game at all. I don't know if the community stands by that, but this game is just not Mario Kart to me. It's filled with city maps, and I just find that so boring. Imagine how I felt when the booster pack for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was filled to the brim with these maps. I don't know, just not for me. A cool idea for people who don't have a Nintendo Switch and only have mobile phones, and it was free to play, I guess. But yeah, I'm sorry, that's all I have to really say about this one. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. What a goddamn mouthful. This game might have been the final Mario and Luigi game on the 3DS. However, I think it's absolutely crazy that we're still releasing games for this system as late as 2019. The 3DS has nearly been around for a decade by then, and yet Nintendo managed to squeeze out just one more release. It's a testament to how enduring the system was and how dedicated they were to that fan base, even after the Switch had already made its mark. Okay, onto the actual game. It doesn't reinvent anything, but the original was so strong that it didn't need to. If you've never played Bowser's Inside Story, this is a great way to experience it. If you have, you will know it's a solid revisit, even if the magic doesn't hit quite as hard the second time around. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. This one really felt like the grand final of the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games series. And honestly, I'm happy to say that it went out on a high note. The Switch hardware made everything look crisp and colourful, and for the first time in years, the series felt fresh again. The absolute highlight was the 2D retro events. Seeing 8-bit Mario and 16-bit Sonic race each other in old school Olympic minigames was such a clever touch. It felt like a celebration of their history, almost like the developers knew this might be their last hurrah. And the story mode was peak Mario and Sonic nonsense. Mario, Sonic, Bowser and Eggman all get stuck into this retro console and have to compete their way out. It's goofy, but it kept me hooked. And I remember binging through this one the weekend it came out without ever getting bored. There was also an arcade version of this game, but it was just fine. I played it once on holiday, and for what I can remember, it's just a stripped down experience with fewer events and none of the fun personality the Switch version had. A neat novelty for sure, but nothing worth tracking down unless you stumble across it. Now sure, once you're done with the story mode and you've had a few multiplayer sessions, there isn't a ton of replay value, but compared to the weaker entries before it, Tokyo 2020 felt like the series finally remembered what made it fun in the first place. If this is truly the last Mario and Sonic Olympic games we get, I'd say it was a pretty good send-off. And with that said, we have reached the end of the 2010s. This decade was a mixed bag for Mario, man. Sure, there were plenty of bangers, but blimey, there were some god-awful bollocks games out there as well. Nevertheless, this iconic character has continued to evolve with Nintendo. So let's see what Mario is up to in our final and present decade. Welcome to the 2020s, and welcome to Paper Mario the Origami King. This Paper Mario is definitely an interesting entry, and whilst I did have fun with it, there's a lot that could have been tweaked to make it even better. The story is about King Ollie, the origami villain who turns everything he touches into an evil fold. Mario's task is to to take down the 5 streamers across the Mushroom Kingdom. Now the plot may seem a little bit cliche to some Paper Mario fans, but I think it works pretty well. It's a fun, quirky premises that gets the job done. Exploring the worlds is one of my favorite parts. I love finding hidden secrets and filling the origami holes. The visuals are beautiful. Origami King is one of the best looking Switch games in terms of style. But now let's talk about the main debate about this game, and that is the battle system. You line up enemies in a rotating grid, which sounds unique, I guess, but in the end, it feels more like a puzzle than an actual battle. I found that there's no real strategy. Once you line up the enemies correctly, you're good to go. The timer doesn't even matter much either, since you can extend it, or even have the game to help you out. I would have preferred something more traditional, like the 1000-Year Door. Sadly, I also think the partners are kind of a letdown. This time they're just generic Mario enemies with no special moves of their own, and you don't even control them, they pop up when needed. It feels like a half-hearted attempt to satisfy fans, but the one really good thing this game has were those boss battles. These were a blast. Fighting a giant hole puncher or a pair of scissors sounds stupid, but it actually works and makes for some of the most memorable moments. There's even like a weird Wind Waker vibe in the purple streamer segment, with sailing and exploring different islands. It's strange, but in a fun way, you know? I don't dislike Origami King, it has its charm and creativity, but it could have been so much better with a more classic battle system and actual partners that interact with you. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Ho ho, now this is a collection. Bringing back Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy to the Switch. The nostalgia is so strong, and being able to play these on the go is a huge bonus. Now while the ports look decent, they don't do much to modernize the games. 64 gets a HD upgrade, but the controls and cameras still feel dated. Sunshine looks better, but still suffers from camera issues. And Galaxy, well, it's the clear highlight. The smooth controls and visuals are crisp. I think the biggest downside is the lack of content. There's no major updates or remakes, just straightforward ports. Honestly, still a great collection for newcomers, but it could have been so much more for the fans. Like at least throw in Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well, man. That really got left behind in this. And of course I gotta mention how stupid it was for them to make this a limited time game only available for 1 whole year. Why did you do that, Nintendo? Like genuinely, people would still be buying this today if you didn't take it off the shelves. It's so silly, but not as silly as our next game, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. Honestly, I bought this game thinking it'll be some bare bones dog's bollocks. However, I've gotta admit, this game makes me feel like a kid again. Check out my official Nintendo driver's license. Yeah, that's what I properly look like. I cleared out my entire room to set up this track and found it so much fun. I mean, check out all this cool stuff I can drive around. I got my Legos, I got my books, I placed down figures that I could smash into. And the best part is that this game actually makes it feel like a real race. When I boost, the cart zoom forward in real life. When I get hit by a banana, that thing literally slows down. It's kind of crazy seeing the digital world and the physical world blend like this. Now don't get me wrong, this game is awesome, but here's the thing, you kind of need a massive house to really get the most out of it. My room works, but the tracks end up being super tight, and after a while it feels a little cramped. If you had a big ass living room or a basement, you could probably make some really wild courses. And realistically, I know myself, I'll probably pull this out once, maybe twice a year, set up the track, race a few laps, destroy some valuables, then pack it in the box to never touch again. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. What an excellent package that combines 2 very different yet equally enjoyable Mario experiences. 3D World is a fantastic port of the Wii U classic, offering polished visuals and smooth gameplay on the Switch. The co-op platforming is still incredibly fun. The addition of online multiplayer is also a lovely touch. But now let's talk about Bowser's Fury. This is a brand new open world adventure that feels like a mini 3D Mario game on its own. Your task is to take down Bowser, who's gone completely berserk, and you'll stop him by collecting cat shrines across the open world. It's an interesting mix of free roaming and traditional Mario platforming, with some surprisingly fresh ideas. I remember when this released and everyone was just saying how this was like a test for the next 3D Mario game, and I mean 4 years later we still have no update, but hopefully soon, man, hopefully soon we can get that 3D open world Mario game. Mario Golf Super Rush. Okay, yeah, this game's fun. It's a fast-paced entry to the Mario Golf series. The core golfing mechanics are simple and approachable, making it great for casual play. The speed golf mode is definitely the highlight here. Racing through courses whilst hitting shots adds a frantic, competitive energy that's honestly pretty addictive. I also thought battle golf is another cool idea, mixing traditional golf with some chaotic territory controls. That said, the game falls short in a few key areas. The character roster feels limited again, and the courses, while they're fun, they don't offer variety. The single player mode is underwhelming, and the RPG style adventure doesn't have the depth to keep you engaged for long. It's clear that they tried to add variety with the new modes, but it often feels like they're not fully fleshed out. It's hard to say, man. Super Rush is a solid multiplayer experience that delivers quick engaging rounds of golf, but if you're looking for a deep content-rich golf game, it leaves a bit to be desired. Mario Party Superstars. Ladies and gentlemen, after years of experimenting with different mechanics that didn't work, Nintendo brings back the classic gameplay fans know and love, and it's all for the better. Mario Party has been restored. This game pulls together a collection of iconic boards from previous entries, plus a ton of classic minigames, and it's basically just a celebration of everything that made Mario Party a staple of the franchise. The board game format is simple yet fun. It has the chaos of the dice rolls and star collecting that Mario fans crave. The character selection is solid and the visuals are really crisp, bringing this series into the modern age whilst keeping the classic Mario Party's charm. Now, unfortunately, like the previous Mario Party we just reviewed, this game does feel a little light on content because there are only 5 boards, and while they are great, it would have been nice to have more, man. Still, Mario Party Superstars nails what made the series so addictive. I'm just happy they fixed this series, man. It's been a long time coming, and honestly, talking about the Mario Party series as a whole in this video feels like a damn side quest itself. Mario Strikers Battle League. This one crushes my soul a little bit because I remember being so excited for this game to come out. I loved the other 2 games, so you could imagine how much my smile faded when I finally got my hands on this one. It's been 15 years since the last Mario Strikers, and Nintendo cooks up a game that makes you sad to think about. Battle League had potential, but misses the mark in every single way ever. The gameplay is so mediocre, with some strategy, but the overcomplicated controls makes it tough to get back into. There's no fresh ideas or progression to make it stand out, you know. The character roster, in my opinion, is pretty bare bones. You will see the same characters almost every single game, and the lack of items and variety in stadiums feels like a step backwards. The gear system is pointless. Changing stats doesn't change how the character feels, and online play only supports 1v1 or 2v2, which is just so stupid for a game that should have been an all-out 4v4 action. Listen, the animation is fantastic, but you will see the same clips over and over again, which takes away the special factor about it. Mario Strikers Battle League is bad. There is no overcoating that. It definitely doesn't justify the price it released at, and sadly it's another example of a Nintendo game launching incomplete, only to get updates that don't fix the core issues. Thank God our next game is awesome because I'm low-key getting depressed reading this script right now. So let's move on to Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. They actually made a sequel for Kingdom Battle, can you believe it? And somehow they managed to make it even weirder, even flashier, and way more fun. First off, they ditched the whole grid system. You can actually move around during your battles now, pretty much like free roam tactics, and it's really great. It makes combat feel way more alive and way less like homework. You're dashing into enemies, team jumping all over the place. The new sparks are basically little star creatures that give you powers, whether that's fireballs or shields or whatever chaos you want to bring to the battlefield. It's goofy and gives a load of options for team combos. Exploration in this game is way better too. There are more side quests, more optional fights, more reasons to poke around. The worlds are genuinely fun to explore, and the dialogue has that same bizarre Rabbids humor that somehow works in a Mario game. If I had one gripe, and this is very, very small, it's that the difficulty is kinda all over the place. One minute you'll be cruising, and the next minute a bomb ends your entire career. It's just super random, but like I guess that can add to the chaos. Sparks of Hope is weird, loud, tactical, and somehow incredibly charming. But in my opinion, definitely not as great as this next one, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Wonder came along like a creative explosion. The Wonder Flowers completely changed how each level works. Pipes wiggle, piranha plants start singing, Mario turns into a Goomba, an enemy, a slime, an inflatable balloon, whatever the level demands. Every stage throws a new idea at you, and it's not just a gimmick, it feels so purposeful. I mean, the moment you touch your first Wonder Flower, the game explodes with creativity. One level might suddenly turn into a musical number with singing piranha plants. That's the second level, by the way, it's so fun. And another has you rolling around the stage as a giant spike ball. Other turns the entire screen into a silhouette, or flips gravity, or turns you into a Goomba. Every stage has that what is gonna happen next energy. And that unpredictability is exactly what 2D Mario needed. It's what I needed, man. The 2D Mario games were severely lacking, and the anticipation of getting a Wonder Seed for each level is so exciting now. And even outside the Wonder effects, the level design is brilliant. It's classic Mario platforming, but with more personality. Elephant Mario is iconic. He's chunky, he's adorable, and he says wowie zowie. For some reason, that never gets old. Bubble Mario lets you trap enemies. Drill Mario allows you to tunnel underground. All of these power-ups feel so unique. And now let's talk about the art style. Finally, a 2D Mario game that doesn't look like plastic. The animations are fluid, the colors pop, and the characters all have expressive little details that makes the whole game feel more alive. Mario's hat wobbles when he runs. He makes funny little faces when you run into a wall. It's subtle stuff like that that adds so much charm. The soundtrack is catchy and playful, just like the game really. And the voice acting, well, this is the first time Charles Martinet isn't voicing Mario. And honestly, you could barely notice, this new guy nails it. Mario Wonder also has a badge system, which gives you different abilities like higher jumps, floating, wall climbing, and a lot more. I personally only really used the high jump because it was the most convenient and most helpful. But it's definitely a clever way to add customization to a 2D Mario game. It also actually changes how you approach each level as well. Like some badges are great for casual players, whilst others make speedrunning or challenge runs way more fun. Now, is there anything bad about this game? Honestly, not really. Some of the multiplayer can get a bit chaotic and hard to follow, especially if you have 4 players bouncing around. And yeah, maybe not every Wonder effect is mind-blowing, but that's just nitpicking at this point. What makes Super Mario Bros. Wonder special is how it finally breaks out of Mario's safe zone in the 2D genre. This isn't just Mario by the numbers anymore, it's Mario by the Dream Team, clearly made by people who are allowed to go nuts and have fun. This is the most refreshing 2D Mario since like Super Mario World 2. It's not just a return to form, it's a complete reinvention of what 2D Mario can be. And in a weird way, Wonder lives up to its name more than anything else in the franchise. Super Mario RPG. So yeah, I already talked about the original Super Mario RPG earlier in the video. You know, I kinda glazed it, how weird and charming it was. And now, Nintendo actually remade it for the Nintendo Switch. And they fucking nailed it. This remake doesn't try to reinvent what it was. It just makes everything smoother, cleaner, and way prettier. The new art style is surprisingly perfect. It still feels like a toy box adventure, but now it's in full HD with expressive faces and buttery animations. The best part is that they kept the weird. The humor still hits and the music, do not worry, it slaps even harder now. You can also switch to the original soundtrack anytime you want. The Super Mario RPG remake is beautiful and modernizes a cult classic just enough, and I love it for that. Thank you, Nintendo, for not messing this one up. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Okay, so after Super Mario RPG, it was clear that Nintendo was leaning into remakes. And next up was a forgotten GBA game, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Now in HD with smoother animations, vibrant backdrops, and a full co-op, it feels far more alive than the original. The core gameplay is mostly unchanged, but the level design is sharper and the new worlds add a bit of freshness. Now the co-op is where it really shines. What once was a slow, solo puzzler becomes a fun shared challenge. Just don't expect like big set pieces or tough levels. It's a chill, low stakes Mario game. Perfect for like a podcast in the background vibes, I don't know. Paper Mario, the 1000-Year Door remake. Okay, so we're cooking with these remakes now, huh? This is how you do a remake. Nintendo looked at the original 1000-Year Door, a game that people have been praising for nearly 2 decades now, and instead of messing with what was already there, they just made it prettier like Mario RPG did. This game is gorgeous, like visually stunning. The paper effects feel more alive now, with some of the best lighting and shadow work I've seen in any Switch game. It's still charming, goofy, and full of personality, but now it runs like a dream and looks like someone handcrafted it onto a real stage. If you missed this back in the day, now is the perfect time. And well, if you didn't, then this is like revisiting your childhood but in HD. The 1000-Year Door is still one of the best Mario RPGs ever made, and this remake proves that. Super Mario Party Jamboree. Yes! Everyone get on their knees for Nintendo, because they finally released an insanely good Mario Party. Super Mario Party Jamboree kicks off with a confident statement. This is a bigger, bolder Mario Party than ever. And after playing, it's clear that it's not just hype. This isn't just another Mario Party entry, it's a true return to form, and arguably one of the best in the series. First things first, the boards. There are 7 of them, and they might just be the best we've ever seen in a Mario Party game. Each board brings something new to the table, from Rainbow Galleria's price-cutting sales to Goomba Lagoon's shifting water levels. No board feels like filler, the mechanics are unique, and the strategic risk to reward decisions keep every turn interesting. I found myself on the edge of my seat, especially with the addition of board specific items that add new layers to the gameplay. Some may argue that this is just another Mario Party with luck based events, but I think Jamboree nails that balance between strategy and fate. It's all part of the chaotic fun that I missed, and I am here for it. Overall, I think Super Mario Party Jamboree is an absolute win for the series. It improves on the classic formula with unique boards, fun minigames, and plenty of ways to customize your gameplay. It's a fantastic return to what Mario Party is all about, having fun with your friends, with your family, or even strangers online. Nintendo has finally nailed it with this one. It's the true Mario Party we've been waiting for, and I'm so glad this whole Mario Party arc ends with a win. But hey, let's move on to our second to last game, Mario and Luigi Brothership. So I'm pretty sure this game was made just so the new voice actor could practice saying Luigi. And I'm gonna be honest, I was scared to go into this game simply because IGN gave it a 5 out of 10. But then I remembered they gave Concord a 7, and now that game is shut down, so I decided to give this one a go. My take on it is that Brothership is the best combat focused crossover we've seen in the series. Battle plugs are genuinely strategic, and the animations make it feel alive. The world is bold and colourful, showing off how much the Switch can do. While I won't lie, the early hours of this game feel fucking endless. There's so much long dialogue, repetitive quests, and awkward pacing that makes it hard to stay invested in. The one weird thing that stood out to me in this game was the Luigi logic. This is where Luigi occasionally takes over to solve something for you or trigger a big moment, and I think it's cool, but it's also a crutch, especially in the early areas where the tutorials just go on and on. My opinions on this game are just all over the place, I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of good here, but there's also a lot of bad. If you're craving that deep Mario RPG combat with charm, expressive visuals, and fun exploration, Brothership delivers the good. But if you're not into slogging through 50 plus hours of slow build up, this one might test your patience. And now everybody, we have reached the latest Mario game to date. Nintendo have launched the Nintendo Switch 2, and with it comes a celebration of Mario's legacy, Mario Kart World. At first glance, this game feels both familiar and fresh. It drops some of the wildest things from previous Mario Kart titles. The anti-gravity sections are gone, customizing your car is basically out the window, and instead they give you this huge open world you can explore freely. Every track is part of this massive, connected landmass, giving this game a sense of scale we've never really seen before in the series. With 30 tracks at launch and a sprawling world to race through, this could easily be the biggest Mario Kart yet. The track designs themselves are fantastic. They are some of the most polished, satisfying races in the series. Power-ups have been reworked so that the most frustrating ones like the lightning or ink appear less frequently, making races feel fairer while still chaotic. The new driving mechanics, being able to jump, wall ride, grind, it's all so much fun. The new knockout tour mode adds this survival twist, where only the fastest racers at each checkpoint move on, offering so many intense and fun moments, whether online or playing with friends. Now the Grand Prix mode, on the other hand, is for me one of the most diverse changes. Instead of having traditional free lap races, you instead race the first track normally, then drive across the world to the next track for a single lap before moving on. I don't understand why they didn't just include the classic free lap setup as its own option, because personally I find that far more fun. But the new design does add a sense of continuity and scale. The online also mirrors the structure, which lets players vote on the next destination. I like it, it keeps it unpredictable. There was a point where everybody would choose random, so it's a guaranteed free lap race, but Nintendo have already nerfed that, which is kind of upsetting, I can't lie. But now let's move on to probably the biggest part of this game, and that's the free room. Visually, this shit is stunning. I already know the people who made Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom helped with this design, because you can so clearly see part of their art style embedded into this. However, visuals aside, this world can feel really empty at times. I feel like they should have added shops or points of interest where you can buy costumes, tires, or new car bodies, trail boosts, wings. other vehicle customizations that would have added depth, but right now, secrets mostly reward stickers and coins, which become pretty much useless once you unlock all the vehicles. Maybe even adding progression or a leveling system could have made free roam more engaging, giving players a reason to grind. Still, it's a beautifully crafted space, a playground for exploration, and the challenges they have scattered across it are genuinely fun, even if the payoff is basically nothing. But now to conclude this game, I want to talk about the one thing that I think is by far the best part about this game, and that is the music. It is, in my opinion, the best music in any Mario game ever, simply because it takes the most iconic music from every Mario game and remixes it, making it sound even more amazing than the originals. When you're free roaming and suddenly hear Gusty Garden, oh my god man, it hits the perfect mix of nostalgia and freshness. I fucking love it. Nintendo went all out here, and this is why I truly see Mario Kart World as a celebration of a lifetime for Mario's adventures. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm sat here right now about to export this video, and I still cannot believe I managed to pull this one off. Mario is a whole different boss compared to the other projects I've done before, and I've been working on this one for half a year now. It feels crazy to even say I finished it. What a long ride, man. Probably for you too. Listening to my voice for 2.5 hours couldn't be easy, but I really do hope you enjoyed it. What I really wanted to do with this project was make it the Mario video on YouTube. Every single game with Mario in the title, all in one place. Plus I get to release it on his 40th anniversary, it all just felt right. Nintendo have already announced even more Mario content to come for the future, and I'll be diving into all of that over on my Patreon, as well as releasing my brand new series on there as well. I hope to see you lot over there, it'll be super fun. It gives me a chance to upload so much more content whilst also working on these humongous projects. But with that being said, this has been I Played Every Mario Game Ever, and I'll catch you guys either on the Patreon or in the Zelda video.